Hey, everyone, what is happening? Jeff C here. Welcome to my annual Halloween show. Well, it's almost every year that I have this. And I remember, I don't know, it was last year or the year before. It's me there. So I'm coming in loud and clear. Welcome to the show. I usually do this every year. There's been a year that maybe last year or 2 years ago that I missed because I was shut out of my channel sort of thing. But I typically do a Halloween special, and I bring on guests to talk about themes with Halloween, things that movies and stuff like that, how it relates to a lot of what is going on right now. We're kind of living in a horror show sort of thing, and talking about the themes of Halloween and the time of year, the rituals that happen, of course, the entertainment, which is really programming, of course, that involves Halloween. And it's always a time of year when lots of horror films come out. I happen to be I was one of these kids that loved the horror movie section. I was like a magnet to steal. When I would go into the video store, I'd be pulled into the horror movie section all the time, horror and sci-fi and stuff like that. I guess because it's kind of like the roller coaster theme feel, when the thing about horror films is that it gives you the sensations of danger and stuff like that without really putting yourself in danger. So kind of like a roller coaster, getting the sensations of near death sort of thrills without really dying sort of thing. So horror movies, and I've talked a lot about the different themes of horror films, and like last year we did a whole podcast talking about Jenna 21 in horror films, which is really something. I don't know if that podcast is still available, but it was I remember Harry Cookie Monster was on it. And I can't remember who else might have been on it, but we talked about Gen 21, all the movies that take place in nature, and how nature is used as this theme, this scary theme, Blair Witch Project. And there's so many other films about getting lost in the woods, cabin in the woods, things like that. And also that horror films kind of embody that a heavy sort of depopulation agenda, which is like slasher films is another theme that I talked about on one of the previous shows, how slasher films kind of fall under the whole depopulation umbrella. In fact, if you think about it, you think of films that are, self-aware kind of films like Scream, where they have rules, right? Like you have horror movie rules, like don't have sex because if you have sex, you'll die sort of thing, right? So these kind of, when you think about it, it kind of fits into those themes. Like they don't want people to procreate. They don't want people to, have monogamous sort of relationships and have sex and have babies and stuff like that. Plus, they're also killing people off. And they typically in slasher films, it's young people that are killed brutally by some, demonic sort of force or figure. And so there has been a few things that I've noticed this year. Today was very, very disturbing because Michael Bay had released this new trailer to this film that you cannot make this stuff up. It's about COVID, but it's COVID 23, and it's it's just unbelievable. It's like, why aren't these people arrested? Of course. But yeah, it was COVID 23. I'm gonna see if I can find it here. I had it on Twitter, and people have been sending to me like crazy, saying, "Look at this, check this out." And they just released the trailer for it today, so we might take a look at that here. Michael Bay is producing first pandemic thriller here. That's the sort of build up to it, but let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, I think I found it here. Yeah, it's called Songbird. Yeah, so there's this film, this new movie that's coming out, I guess. I don't know how long it takes to make a movie, but if you're Michael Bay and it's a big time Hollywood production, I would imagine, usually from what I know about these Hollywood productions is that it takes a long time first to get a script approved, and then you have to get a studio to back it, and then you have to get a distributor, and then you have to have a producer and get all the all the parts and pieces together, and then you have to have the casting. And usually it takes, usually if a film is announced in production, it could take 2 or 3 years before it's finally released, sort of thing. So it seems like they somehow have whipped this thing together really quickly, and it takes place in the near future, in which a severely depopulated planet is facing a new strain of COVID, and it's a complete full-on police state. It's like absolutely horrific. And all you'd have to say, I suppose, is how sick are these people, first and foremost? How awful is Michael Bay, not just as a director, but as a human being, that they would put out this stuff? If you think about all the hell that they're putting people through, how many people's lives have been ruined by what is happening, and everything else that's going on, that they would actually do something like this. And just see you there, Press. Anyways, I'm gonna introduce my friends here who are here with me tonight. I have Faceless Propagandist. How you doing, buddy? Faceless?
Hey, what's up, man?
Nice to see you. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And my good buddy Tom, Press Reset Earth. How you doing, Tom? Maybe he needs to reset the microphone.
He's just starting off with the cold shoulder.
Hey, Tom, are you giving us the cold shoulder, man?
Nice to meet you, Tom.
Waiting for the little frog guy to push the button. Oh, no, they're already pushing the button. Tom, can you stop them? Anyways, hopefully Tom will get his mic figured out here. We're going to probably have a few more guests popping in. I've sent some other invites out, so if you did get an invite, please feel free to jump in at any time and join the discussion here. But yeah, it is pretty crazy what's going on. So I thought I would start with that. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it, Faceless. Tom, if you saw the Songbird promo or trailer that was released today.
Yeah, Stranger Than Fiction showed it to me.
Yeah. And what did you think? There you are.
Sorry about that. I had to reset the mic here on the StreamYard. So, yeah, I haven't seen it. Great to be on the show, Jeff. Great to be talking to you and everybody. So, hello.
Yeah.
Hey, nice to meet you, dude. Nice to meet you, Tom.
Hey, Faceless Propagandist.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you both for being here. And yeah, I'm sure we're going to have some pretty interesting discussions. So yeah, I wanted to start with that because it did come out today. And Tom, you haven't seen it. Faceless, you did. Now, Tom, it's basically what's happening right now, but on steroids, the nth degree. So it's like a full-on police state. There's a much worse strain, but it's COVID 23. And everybody's complete lockdown. Most people are dead. There's barely anybody left, and it's a complete police state with black helicopters circling everywhere, and people in hazmat suits, army guys, and people just terrified in their homes.
So Bill Gates' wet dream.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and it's like I hate Michael Bay. Like, I freaking hate Michael Bay. I hate everything about him. I hate his movies. I hate his face.
Do you hate his beautiful blonde hair?
Yeah, I hate I just hate the guy. He's just a wretched creature. He is the worst amongst the worst directors. When you think about a director, because what is Michael Bay known for? Well, he's basically known for Transformers, I guess, and like movies about things that explode. Like he's an expert in explosions, and you go to see a Michael Bay film and things are always exploding, and there's like umpteen different camera angles of an explosion that you'll see 50 times over from every different angle just to really jam it in your face that something exploded. But yeah, Michael Bay, today this film was put out. The trailer just came out, and I think, like, in terms of just how awful something like this is, it's like, how, first of all, how would this get the green light? Well, I guess we know, because the people that run the show are pretty evil. But I mean, the it's adding insult to injury. It's like rubbing salt in the wounds to further traumatize people after you have had the most of the population in the world in a forced lockdown in this horrible sort of state, which has been a horror movie. At least for me, I know a lot of people have been horrified by what's been going on. And then they got to come out with something like this and say, and again, I don't know how long, I don't know, Tom, if you know or face this, how long it takes to actually produce a film.
Yeah.
Right.
I do have an idea though about if I may interject.
Yeah,
is that
absolutely.
Cool?
By all means.
People that script writers and a lot of people in the industry on the low level that I've interacted with, because I used to be a crisis actor. Just kidding. I probably just lost 500 subscribers. But everyone, people that really get into that industry seem to lose all self-awareness. I guarantee you, like, whatever short, curly-haired, glassed-wearing guy that came up with that script is like, I'm really original. The public's going to love this. But I know that you're going to segue into predictive programming too, which is not off the table, because I have some theories about that, but I don't want to start going there yet.
Yeah, I think it does stem. I think he's right about that. I think it does stem from this sort of elitist mindset that these Hollywood types have. They are so out of touch. It's astonishing. It really is. So, I can't even believe it. We're living in a horror movie to sort of put this out. I mean, they're already trying to scare the shit out of everybody. So the fact that they actually are doing that further really shouldn't surprise anybody. These people are bold.
I mean, yeah. But in like looking at it, right? Because if you follow the trajectory of how things are playing out, it's not good the way things are going. It's like they'll tell us, oh yeah, things will get better. But here we are, at least where I am, right? I'm in Montreal. The second wave is here. It's not a complete full lockdown, but most businesses are shuttered. And you're not allowed to congregate with anyone. You have to wear a mask at all times. Well, I guess you can get away without wearing a mask outside, sort of thing. But anytime you're inside anywhere, you have to wear a mask. You have to stay 6 feet apart. You can't gather, you can't do anything. And they are talking about amping it up and maybe putting further and further restrictions as we move forward. And of course, they're saying, oh, there's a good chance that we're going to get a vaccine pretty soon, sort of thing. But like, we know this whole thing, they've got it planned to play out for another 2-3 years. I mean, they're saying 2 to 3 years for the whole thing to play out. Could be 5 or 6. It could play out forever for all we know, because they could just hit us with wave after wave after wave. Now in Canada, I don't know if you guys caught that, but the leaks that I had what's-her-face on there the other day when we were talking about the leaks that came out of the government, the Prime Minister's office, in which they had a whole plan for the next 2 years, which includes internment camps, right? Yeah. And like a full-on lockdown, and basically a police state emerging, and then a great reset with the crashed economy, that they would have the International Monetary Fund would come in and offer a universal debt relief to every single Canadian. And then
that's really nice of them.
Yeah. And the crazy
you will own nothing and you'll be happy about it.
Yes. And you guys are seeing those coming from the World Economic Forum. And
that was put out in 2016, and I hope we can go over that later.
Absolutely. The article there. But there was a video that was put out just the other day from the World Economic Forum, and it was basically the same thing. I showed it on a podcast, and it was like, the year is 2030. I own nothing, and I couldn't be happier.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm really glad that we have organizations like the IMF and World Economic Forum, because otherwise we'd have nobody trying to help us get through this dang mess. So
I like your sense of humor, man.
Yeah. Also, with I noticed something too. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, because like we're gonna talk about horror movies and themes and Halloween and all that, but like the horror theme, because this is called Songbird. Do you remember recently something with birds that was like a big thing on Netflix?
Oh yeah, Bird. What was it?
Bird Box.
Box. Yeah, that's what it was. That was a creepy movie. I actually kind of liked that movie as a movie, but yeah, there's a lot of propaganda in it for sure.
In the because like I've been noticing this. Okay, so I'll you guys can see my screen, right?
yes,
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Songbird here, the sort of cover for the trailer or whatever. Right, this is the movie that's coming out here from Michael Bay, right?
Oh yeah.
Styx Films here, and then we'll put in Bird Box here, because I want people to clue into some of the themes that the NWO is using in film. So, in the film Bird Box, Faithless, have you seen it?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, well, it's not really unfortunate for you, but you know,
I know the story arc though. It sounds
Okay,
like
good.
it's saying to survive in the new system, you have to blind yourself to the evil around you, which is perfect for NWO advertising.
Yeah. Okay, so in Bird Box, people just start spontaneously killing themselves, and it starts off in Russia, and then people start seeing the news clips, and they're like, "What the hell is going on?" And all these mass suicides are happening. Then all of a sudden, people start killing themselves in America.
Yeah.
And what it turns out to be is that there's these demons. They're like interdimensional, Lovecraftian sort of Cthulhu type demons that you can see. You can't like that you like the people that are the audience that is watching the film can't see them, but the people in the film, the characters in the film, if they go outside and they open their eyes, they'll see these demons, and then the demons will drive them to kill themselves unless they're already.
Wasn't it like only Republicans could see it and not kill themselves? They'd go super evil. So it'd be like the bad white guys and stuff like that.
Well, you know, they did have the characters.
No, yeah, there was a character in the film though that no matter who it was, if you looked at these demons, you would kill yourself. But I think there was a character who they characterized as this right winger, gun-toting sort of good old guy or good old boy that was sort of a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people that the way it worked kind of thing was that people that were already mentally ill or psychopathic or whatever, they didn't see the demons as demons, and they were happy and they could exist sort of thing in this demonic realm, whereas everyone else would go crazy and try to kill themselves or kill others or whatever, right, to escape the demons. But what I wanted to point out, because Bird Box and the theme of blindfolding the masses, because this is what plays out as you see here on the cover here with, I think it's Sandra Bullock, if I'm not mistaken, who is the main actress in this film, and that they can't function in society without blinding themselves. And I've noticed these themes in horror films over the past few years, which are kind of blinding or silencing, right? Like these there's another series that just came out. It was the first one produced by Apple. I don't know if you guys heard it, but it's called C.
Just the letter C?
No, as in
S-E-E.
SEEC, and it's with the guy from Game of Thrones there, Jason Momoa. I watched the first few episodes of this, and in this television series, you see Apple TV, right? So it's like it is a big production sort of thing. Is that it's in a dystopic future of a severely depopulated planet in which the survivors of humanity have all been blinded, and yet they revert to a tribal sort of lifestyle, and they're basically a blind civilization that's struggling to survive, and they're at war with whoever else is still alive, sort of other tribes and stuff like that. And then there was another one that I caught just recently, and it was called A Quiet
Place where you have to be quiet, and
Yes.
you can't have gas in the morning, you can't poop loudly, you can't scream if you step on a nail.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, I'm seeing a lot of these films with these themes where all of society is either muzzled or gagged, or has to be completely silent. And
Can I shill an idea?
Pardon me?
Can I shill an idea?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. Shill it.
I find it more notable. Well, I mean, it's all noteworthy, but it's interesting that the Apple TV production of C, that's eyes, right? And then in Bird Box, you had to blind yourself.
Yeah.
And everything is reduced kind of like by a order of magnitude. And the situation we're heading into is that in order to survive in the system that's emerging, you would have to turn your back to truth or God or whatever you want to call it, and however you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to, I know there's all that third eye, pineal gland. I'm not about to go full Nick Cannon on you, but the eyes are such a metaphor for that kind of thing. And it's interesting that you have to remove your own eyes in order to survive in the system. Well, then, frankly, honestly, I'd rather just keep my eyes and get a bullet in my head or whatever. Because that might be the better thing, though. It sounds bleak, but it's really not. The bleak is being a blind Sandra Bullock, aged 65, living in like the Pacific Northwest or whatever at the end of the movie.
Yeah, that scene, Tom, if you remember, where she's going down the rapids in a boat, blindfolded with the two kids that she has, her son and the other kid that's not technically hers.
Yep, I remember that. Yeah, and it's a very disturbing movie because on top of that, there's the element of the invisible enemy that the audience can't see. I think that's a huge theme that makes it more disturbing and unnerving in the movie. At least it did for me. And I think that's the main theme of what we're seeing and why people are so afraid of the COCO or the COVID. We can just say COVID here, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm used to saying
well, you know what? I say Kobe.
Kobe, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
I think that's a good way to put it.
Kobe.
Yeah. So, I think that that element of mystery and the unknown, right? I think even Jordan Peterson used to talk about this. Not that I listened to him, but I've seen clips where he talks about the unknown being chaos and like the old stories of chaos and how humans are very, very afraid at a very deep level of the unknown. And when you can't see something, when it's the invisible enemy, that makes it that much more scary, and it's almost like you don't even have to be blindfolded to a degree because it's the invisible enemy as it is. So you can't see it. So the whole thing is you're unable to see. And it's true what Faceless said too, with the ability to be in touch with
my thing applies to outside of movie making, whereas what you're explaining is good horror movie mechanics. I follow.
Yeah, exactly. But also, it's true too that they don't want you to see on a spiritual level. That's a huge one, and that's a huge theme as well.
If you think about it, okay, I'm going to throw this out here: that the Kobe is an invisible enemy, right? Whether you believe it or not, you can't see it, right? Mm-hmm. And so when we think about these films, they all kind of have this theme, and these shows, or like I just put up Invisible Man because that's another one that I saw not too long ago, which also plays into these themes, and feminism and other things as well. But when you think about it, films like Bird Box, the people that are surviving they're blindfolding themselves based on what's happened to everyone else. In other words, that they haven't yet experienced what everyone else has experienced, but they are, because of fear, they have blindfolded themselves. Right?
It's kind of freaky too how the notion of the people that see this thing go ahead and just suicide themselves. That's kind of like the NWO presentation of the Christian idea of the rapture, mass suicide, which if you think that suicide's a bad thing and it's going to take getting to a better place off the table and you do it, then no wonder the system would encourage it. So it's like, yeah, guys, look, all the people who look at this and gaze upon it have this higher awareness. They're just going to blow out their brains or whatever. But you guys can survive, and we'll give you like pot pies and MREs as long as you just cut out your own eyeballs. You know?
Well, yeah. Well, I think too. It's the same analogy with if you decide to actually look into the information about COVID and the Kobe, and seeing the alternative information. Let's just put it that way, because we have to be kosher here on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
If you look at the alternative information and the other perspective, the not so mainstream perspective on how on what it is and what the real danger is, whether or not there is a danger, etc., then you'll effectively be killing yourself in their new system, because their new system is going to require you going along with their agenda and and believing into it. So you're putting the figurative bullet in your head when you decide to not accept the digital currency and the microchip in their system, because you won't be able to survive in it. You won't be able to go to the store and buy food. You won't be able to have a job.
Yeah. So clinging on to good values, the beast system is basically going to be like, look at these morons who let us cut off their heads. They wouldn't even take the mark, bro.
Yeah, right. They basically destroyed their own lives. That's how they'll present it, no matter what the truth may be. So in their system, in their world, their reality, yes, you would be effectively killing yourself. You'd have to go off the grid. You'd have to figure out a way to live separately from the system and kill yourself inside of it. You wouldn't be able to live in it. You wouldn't.
They mentioned that in that article that you just were talking about before. It's the year is 2030 and I own nothing. I have no privacy. I've never been happier.
Yeah.
They mentioned the people that refuse to comply. Do you remember that?
Whoa, really? What'd they say?
They said something along the lines, there are those who live in antiquated villages outside and
in the hinterland.
Yeah, I believe actually, I'll bring the article up. I believe that they say like 19th century style villages or something.
Right. And they're going to present it as like Handmaid's Tale, where it's like a neo fascist sort of society or something with highly traditional values that are just beyond what we find comfortable here in our new world order.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And then the funniest thing about that is, I can't wait. it's like, let's go. Let's get off this grid. I'm just waiting for them to force us into these communities, because I think they'll be nice and wholesome.
Well, yeah, until they come and they mess them up and they say, oh, you know what,
of course.
You guys got the Kobe here. It's the Kobe 23 now, and
it will be like raining down hellfire from drones and like weather warfare and Bill Gates kosher mosquito attacks, and they'll be like, "Look at all villagers,
kosher mosquito attacks." You remember, Jeff, the video we both covered again recently and covered before a long time ago with the Forum for the Future. I forget the title of the actual video they put out, but it was from back in like 2010, where they talk about the freedom ghettos and the food shortages and City for the Future or
Plandopolis.
Yeah.
Plandopolis.
They talk about the freedom ghettos though, and that's huge. That's gonna be. I think it's gonna be an actual reality.
Yeah, in the film, what's the one there? Me and TMF talk about quite often. Demolition Man, which again, people don't touch each other. You don't make love anymore. Everything that you do is being watched, right? Your body temperature is being taken everywhere you go. And it came out in 1995 or something like that, right? And it's after several plagues, right? And it's probably taking place relatively around this time. In like a lot of these films, unfortunately, are set in contemporary, and they're starting to look a lot more, accurate or non-fiction, if you will. But yeah, this is just another example of how this stuff, how these films are showing a lot of what is about to manifest. And yeah, in that film Contagion, the people, they don't touch each other. There's no physical contact. It's really nuts. It's of course where we are today, where we will be in say 5 years from now. Not even say year 2030, but in like 5 year 2025 sort of thing.
Yeah.
Will people handshake? Will people still be making love? Will they alter what they have going now? Will there be follow up strains of this COVID sort of thing being unleashed? Kobe, I gotta get it right. Right, because
it's too late now.
That's what we saw. Like for instance, in the leaked documents from Canada, they're basically saying the next one is going to be called COVID-21, and it's going to be far more deadly, and this is going to lead to a complete shutdown, a complete collapse of the world economy, and therefore everyone is going to be forced onto a universal debt system. And so on one hand, yes, the answer, and always the answer is the answer is not in the New World Order itself. You're not if all of us, I think, are in a similar situation where we want to escape the New World Order, right? It's like Snake Plissken trying to escape from New York, right?
Whoa, are you almost going in the direction of this is bigger than just humans?
Well, no, actually, I wasn't really going in that direction, but I'm sure you'll take us there.
No. I'll shut up. But I thought I was about to be like, Jeff's about to see. I have a buddy who keeps shilling on behalf of some guy I've never even seen named God, but he's actually kind of a good buddy, and he's done a lot of good for me. And I thought you were about to be like, you're not going to win this by well, never mind. But go on.
No, what I was going to say is that, like we were just saying, that to escape it is to leave the system. It's not to be halfway or something, right? You're not going, even if you say move to a small town or something like that, you're still going to be fully in the system. The only way to really escape it is to form your own community and get out completely and somehow manage to maintain that. Otherwise, you're going to be part of the whole system, because as Tom was saying just before, they'll make it impossible for you to do anything. You're not going to be able to go anywhere. You're not going to be able to, you're not people you might think, oh, I won't be able to go to the grocery store. No, you probably won't even be able to drive a car. You won't be able to go anywhere because they'll be detecting you.
Stuff to normies all the time, and they're like, well, what do you mean? Can't I just I'll move here and get an apartment there? I'm like, no, you won't. No, you won't.
Right. Yeah, it's going toward that that level too. And when we talked about this, Jeff, I think it was back in April when we were first talking about COVID. The mask is, in my opinion, the first step to this world we're entering, where you won't be accepted anywhere without it, and that's going to be highly more intimate with your body moving on in the future, like implantable chips and stuff, in my opinion, and God knows what else, right? All these things they're trying to roll out. A vaccine certificate. We've covered all of it. You've covered all of it, and that is going to be the ultimate end if they get their way, and our only escape. Maybe spiritual on some level, but you know, if you want to actually escape in this physical reality, you'll have to go into the wild. Really, I mean, that's what you'll have to do.
Get yourself a good bear suit. You know, you can blend in. You know,
Maybe go into the woods.
That's just a bear.
I mean, that's what you'll have to do. I mean, and then even then, you can find communities and like-minded people. There'll be millions of us. I do believe that. I have a little bit. I don't want to say optimistic view. It's going to be struggle if they win. Of course, if they win in the end, I'm not saying we can't take the whole system kind of back in a way, but if they have their way, yeah, we're going to face some real tough challenges personally in our lives, all of us, and as a group as well as free humans. So it's going to be
something to be sad about, and we shouldn't only live in fear because that's so crappy. Somebody told me today that fearing something like on the big level is essentially the same as worshiping it. And I've been doing that. Like when this lockdown started, the idea of beast system just popped into my unreligious mind, and I just kept thinking about it and obsessing. And I was bringing everyone around me down. I was just super negative, cortisol levels high as hell, just wanted to drink all the time. Well, that's not how you're going to get through this.
It's the opposite. I just want to say, I don't mean to interrupt you there, but Vanonymous has just jumped in the show. Welcome, Vanonymous. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, you're coming in
Hey, Anonymous.
Sweet. Hey, what's up, Faceless?
Dude, I've been talking to you on Discord.
No, you haven't.
No, I
We're not in the same Discord. I'm only in one channel on Discord, really. I don't know who you're talking
I
to.
thought Vanonymous would be great for this because I know you're really into movies and horror movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't watch it anymore, but I still love it.
Yeah, good. Because we will talk about, I mean, I've got up on the screen here, just to give you guys, I mean, it is mind-blowing, okay? So I want you to take a look at this. But isn't it crazy when you think about how many movies they have made over the past couple decades on this theme? And I've been saying to people all along, like, the reason why they made all these films was because of this right now. That all these movies are not organic and it's not coincidental that they purposely started churning out these movies. And it's not just movies, television shows and everything else, but I'm just showing movies tonight.
It's everywhere. They make the media, like just news stories, they always have like little things in there too.
You know, the crazy thing too, when you see Planet of the Apes, for instance, if you guys have seen is it the second one? I don't know, Tom or Anonymous, if you know what I'm talking about, where the beginning is very, very disturbing because it shows the plague spreading across the world.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I think it's the second film of the new Planet of the Apes reboot sort of thing. And they
it has to be the second one.
They show the whole planet being infected with the simian flu, and they have Wolf Blitzer. Santa Gupta.
Yeah. But hey, you remember at the beginning of the stream, Jeff? I was like, I have a few ideas, and I wanted to shill them about predictive programming. Is it all right? Because we're kind of heading in that. Is it all right to suggest something or entertain an idea?
Absolutely.
What if these people behind these movies and television shows aren't like there isn't a group of people or groups of interest that say, however it would manifest, like, hey, Matt Greening or Matt Groening, whatever, Simpsons, put this in your episode. But rather, I wrote down a few ideas earlier. One is like, Satan is unoriginal, so he gets his ideas from our media. So then years after a program comes out, we all watch it, and we were like, hey, they referenced this 15 years ago in The Simpsons, but it was kind of tongue-in-cheek. But also, people seem to, like when an event goes on, like 9/11, and the idea of Muslim terrorism was kosherly promoted across the Western world. Lots of movies and TV shows about terrorism came out, 24 and things like that, and yada yada yada. People, there's kind of a collective consciousness there. It's not that I'm not trying to get all new age, but it seems like that movie, CV-23, the way any of us would describe the looming future would be very similar to what we saw in that trailer, wouldn't it?
There's actually 2 other movies coming out. There's one that's COVID-21 Lethal and something that came out already. It's a little indie film, and there's one coming out tomorrow, COVID-24. So
What?
you got like a what would you call it? A trickle down effect kind of a thing. Like all these people are jumping on the bandwagon trying to make money off the COVID thing. So you're gonna get a bunch of copycats.
Yeah. Oh God.
Or
I
you
wish
know,
it was
I mean,
only about shekels, because if it was only about shekels, then
No, it's not just about shekels. I mean, that's just part of it.
Yeah,
the thing is that like for instance, when the whole Kobe started to really happen, sort of thing, Netflix had their pandemic series airing at the exact same time. So it just came out. The Quebec here, TVA, it released a series called Pandemie, which outbreak, happens in Montreal. So it's a fictional sort of drama about or drama, whatever you want to call it, right? About a pandemic happening in Montreal. So these things, like, again, it is. Well, I don't know how their demonic sort of realm works. I don't know how they're able to manifest these things so accurately. Like when
it's all in the plans, man.
That's it. That's what I believe.
Yeah,
I think
think
another amazing predictive programming that came out on Netflix in January is a TV show. It's like it's called Medical Police. It's like a spin-off of some kind of hospital show. It's like a comedy show with like clown people and stuff like that. Anyways, this one predictive programming for a bioterrorism attack that they use 3D printers to spread the virus throughout the countries of the world. So, I mean, that's the next thing that's coming.
But you're supposed to use 3D printers to make burgers, fake burgers.
Well, see, they can print viruses off of them, right?
Yeah, it's true. You covered that. We also, myself and Camille covered that as well. This ability to print out viruses, and that this is something that they're going crazy with, and they could put out an unlimited amount of viruses doing it like that sort of thing.
In a 2017 speech by Bill Gates in Davos, he talks about the next big threat was a bioattack with a synthetic virus. The next big threats from a computer screen is basically what he said. There's a short clip if you want to find that.
I wouldn't be able to show it because I don't the setup I have right. I don't know if I would. I don't know how the sound would come.
He also said his next pandemic, people would pay attention this time.
And laughing all the way.
Yeah, and he smirked like the most evil, like venomous. Nothing against you, venomous, but the most evil, venomous smirk you've ever seen.
Oh no, that's totally true. Hey, how's it going? How's it going? Reset.
Hey, what's up, venomous? It's nice seeing you, buddy. And then also, have you guys heard or seen the show Utopia?
I haven't seen it.
I have not watched it yet. There's 2 of them now. There's the UK one and the US one just came out, and it's been blocked in the Ireland.
That is the most that is the most blatant predictive programming I've perhaps ever seen in my life.
Have you seen it?
I've seen about 5 episodes now. My buddy actually, who's awake to all this, suggested it, and he's watched all of the episodes so far. And some of the stuff he's described as you go on into the show, I've already confirmed some of it, but it is basically showing the reality of what's going on in a way. Of course, there's a lot of propaganda in there as well. It's a Hollywood Netflix film. But I mean, at the same time, it actually is showing that there is like a billionaire behind all of it, and he's trying to con everybody. And he had a vaccine that hurt a lot of school children or that made them sick. And then he also, ironically enough, or I should say poetically enough, makes his own like fake meat that he was giving giving to like and he's like,
is this the original or is this the remake?
This is the one with John. Is that John Cusack or
Remake.
It's the remake then. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's the remake. Yeah.
A lot of that parallels. Remember Kingsman, the first Kingsman? Oh wow, this billionaire wants to inject people or whatever.
Yeah,
Same
and yeah. Go ahead.
No, that was it. I was
gonna say that like they also have like secret society, I guess you could say, like breakaway civilization, like schools where they train children from birth to do like fake shootings and stuff like that, or false flag shootings and stuff. It's really, really crazy, this movie or this
They got the White Rabbit. Did you see that?
What's that?
Here on, I don't know if you guys can spot this on the carousel. They're riding white rabbits.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of this stuff going on.
What is the White Rabbit thing? Is that an MK Ultra thing, or is that an occult thing, or both?
Well, it's that huge occult, but it's also QAnon as well, because they say follow the White Rabbit.
My God, those chuds, man! They don't ever stop. Like the White
That's
Rabbit.
the funny thing about the QAnon thing that I've noticed is that it's the Q is 17, right? Well, you got your 17 goals of sustainable development.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Dude, the bad thing is, as much as I want to just joke on them, like all of these people are family and friends, like trannies, QAnon, whatever. Everyone who's like committing is in one way or another valuable.
There's a difference between people that fall into these cults as opposed to the cult leaders.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So like who's orchestrating QAnon is not who is part of QAnon, because a lot of people just are kind of stupid and they see QAnon, they fall into the cult because it's designed to hook you. It's much like the way that they do television shows that hook you in. QAnon does that, right? Because the way it works is they'll show you things and then you'll be like, oh my gosh, and then you'll see it and you'll be like, and you know, like one of the other things that they did, where did it sort of originate from? Was another sort of esoteric type of coding that they were doing. And it was a precursor to QAnon, but they were testing these things out and they were seeing how they could, you know, rope people in sort of into these conspiracy realms, or not, you know, like I think a lot of it's diversion, where it's like, that's why they mix, like QAnon mixes a lot of the stuff that people like myself and Tom and you guys cover, right, in your videos, that like Agenda 21 and stuff like that, depopulation, vaccines, all these things all brought in, but then you mix it with the Hollywood pedophiles and the, you know, the Wayfair cabinets and whatnot, and you purposely put enough really good stuff in there to hold people in, and then you throw in the stuff that's completely manufactured in order to, of course, for the mainstream to come in and say, ha ha ha, look what QAnon is saying, you know, they're claiming this or that, right? And it's an incredible psyop, because you could watch, like when it comes to QAnon, for instance, a QAnon person, devotee, culty, or whatever you want to say, could watch a news segment and see entirely different things than, say, an average sort of CNN person, viewer would see. Like they would be looking for the little codes and the little white rabbits and whatnot, right? with Trump's making symbols and all this stuff, right? Or somebody that's standing behind Trump, somebody's got a white rabbit on them or something like that, right? So these are like, we're in really sophisticated times. Like there's never been anything like this when it comes to the depth of these psyops. And QAnon is a massive psyop, and it's very successful because, of course, they do put a ton of resources into it. If the president himself is playing a big role in QAnon, that tells you, right? It's pretty big, right?
An unwitting Q asset too. They're like, "All right, Mr. President, here's a script that someone else wrote for you," and he's like, "Oh, do I get my frozen yogurt now?" On the stage, and he's like, you know, he reads something. He's like, it was 3 minutes and 18 seconds long. And then the Q drop the day before said 3:18. And everyone's like, whoa, I'm going to rush into the camps. I want to be the first to get the vax. But, dude, honestly, Jeff, I know you've been doing, you have so much more knowledge about this stuff than I do, because you've covered it literally like 5 or 6
No,
times.
not really Q though. I don't really cover Q.
No,
I
well,
just
I mean the whole like you'll see something presented to the masses, and you're
oh
like,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is obviously tartared sauce because you can't say tarted now. But I noticed I sat there and I wondered, I was like, how do these pricks keep getting away with it? How do they keep getting to do this to us? It seems like they have demonic protection. Oh, the tribe has demonic protection and this and stuff. And I used to always sit there and say reality is compartmentalized. In our first stream together, you asked me like what that meant. And I didn't even know what it meant at the time. But now I think, the line from what was Kaiser Sose Heist Fest called? What was that movie's name? Usual Suspects.
Unusual Suspects or the
Yeah.
the Usual Suspects. Yeah.
And they say the thing about the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was making the world believe he didn't exist. It's actually a little less than that or more than that. It's like if I've had to reverse engineer everything like a dumb blind chud, which is the wonder of being human. We all get to do it in one way or another. But I was like, it sure seems like these bad guys at the top they keep getting away with it. And further up the chain I went to one day I was like, oh man, there's something really bad. And people call it Satan. I don't want to sound too Christian fundamentalist, but I call it Satan now. I didn't before. But then if you become aware of that, you start to appreciate truth more and honesty. And then it's like, yeah, well, I don't care if you guys are going to drag me into a camp and kill me for not taking your stupid gay vax. I'd rather stick with the good thing. And that's the last thing Satan or the NWO or the beast system wants is people they want us to go the Bird Box route. They want us
well, they are orchestrating the masses against the people, the dissenters. So
Yeah.
a good sort of metaphor for that would be, say, in the film Full Metal Jacket, where they give up on trying to discipline the kind of obese soldier in the boot camp. And what the drill sergeant does is he says, I'm not going to discipline this guy. He lets him eat his donut, right? From now on, it's going to be up to you because you're the ones that are going to suffer. So they make everybody else suffer. So they all have to do the push-ups and chin-ups and whatnot, right? Because the fat guy isn't fitting in. This is what they're doing to humanity, is that they're saying and they built up this narrative. So it's like with Trump, this is him and the Republicans largely playing their roles, where they have their gatherings or mass gatherings. Nobody's social distancing. People aren't wearing masks. And then, of course, there's a week or two later, there's an outbreak, and it's because of this. And so everywhere you go, you see the health officials saying it's those people who refuse to comply. And then you see the media and the bus stop sort of, propaganda things that they put up where point out to people who are not wearing a mask. You get the late night television show people, and then you get all the encouragements from the corporate media to go and attack people and then they're constantly blaming. So they have used the masses. It should be obvious to everyone out there that they're manipulating people against each other with this whole Kobe thing, right? Because it's a perfect sort of.
They turn race against race, group against group, and it's not that there aren't differences and that we all have different concerns, but they do it, and it's like the reason we can't all just stand up and literally slap our government in the face and be like, sit down before we hang you from a lamppost, is because we don't know if our neighbor on either side of us agrees, because the guy to the left of us has only been here for 3 years. The guy to the right of us is a QAnon endorser, and is saying, no man, you gotta sit back and trust the dang client. And
They divide us. But they break up people like Yuri Bezmenov, pointed out, sort of thing, where financing and funding all these different groups, but also encouraging people to join groups. The NWO does this massively, right? Especially with the kids these days, to get them into the Extinction Rebellion or the women's rights movements, or the LGBT PQNSWXYZ allies and everything else. And I explain the psychology of the women, because when they have these women marches, there's a whole science to it. It's not just, oh, we'll get the women to go out and protest. No, they know not just how to get the women to go out and protest, but they know how to make it exciting for the women. They know that most of these women are sitting around watching television, probably not very fulfilled. If they were, they wouldn't be doing this stuff. So they're taking advantage, and then these women are congregating, they're showing up, and then next thing you know, they're doing dance routines, and they have drummers, and it's very exciting. And then all of a sudden, so a lot of what happens and the way to lure people in is to create all this excitement. With QAnon, it's a great example, because the QAnon people think that they're one up on everyone else, that they know what's going on, and they know that secretly behind the scene, all these actions are happening, and there's constant coding of everything that, they're constantly coding, and the president himself is constantly taking part in this type of coding, delivering these cryptic messages that feeds, and they always get fresh ammunition. Like I've been saying this for years. It was the same with Pizzagate. Like they'll constantly give them new stuff so they can say, see. And a great example of this, and I'll just say this: the Hasbro Trolls doll, which is a trolls. Because the trolls they're trolling us. Like, this is what I firmly believe. I don't believe that they put that button there because they want to pervert children as much, guys, I do believe that, as it is they put that doll there to make you think that they want, so that people would buy into the QAnon, and it gives way more ammunition, and they can say, see, look what these people are doing. Right? Look what Tom Hanks is putting up on his Instagram. Look what, Steven Spielberg did the other day or whatever, right? And they can and the actors play a role in it. Tom Hanks is taking photos of people's socks or whatever for a reason, right? They're like, nobody gets to Tom Hanks's level in acting without making a bunch of deals and, working in conjunction with the CIA and Mossad and whatever else, right? Well, that's the way it works.
It's the hidden hand trick. They got you looking over at Tom Hanks and all these celebrities and stuff and the troll dolls, but then on the other side, they got them indoctrinating your kids in school and teaching them all these sex things. So, I mean, that's how they get you, really.
Well, one criticism I have of Q, of that movement, QAnon, is that, a lot of them, especially obviously the creators, but also the people who follow it, a lot of them focus solely on Q and what's going on with the whole thing, right, with the Q project, and they're not really talking that much. At least most of them aren't talking about how our freedoms are being eroded and how they're bringing in this new world order system.
That's not what they want you to focus on. See, they want you to focus in on the Democrats and the child trafficking rings. It's an emotional trigger. And I've been saying this all along, that it's very dangerous, because look, they're destroying your rights. They're violating everything in the Constitution. They are turning everything inside out. They're twisting us, and they're pitting us against each other. And meanwhile, people are waiting for the 33,000 sealed indictments, or right? Like, come on, like, trust the plan. Oh yeah, trust the plan. Oh, which plan? The one that Trump with the warp speed and the vaccines? Is that the one we should trust? Right, with the military going in a very powerful manner. Right. See, they get you, they twist you, and then they sell you the notion that Trump is somehow the good guy and he's fighting all these forces, when they're all part of the same machine. It's all a big manipulation. It's all a big three-ring circus and again, everybody, like, we all are being targeted in different ways. Like, we're all, like, you could be targeted with sports. Like, for instance, the sports realm is hilarious, because they interject all these things into the sports realm. The sports realm, the basketball players talking flat earth, or, certain players getting involved in certain controversies, right, which involve elements of what they're trying to push, or some celebrity said something wrong about gay people or whatever, right? They find ways to get everyone with their propaganda, because they control all of it, unfortunately. I mean, they don't control everything, but they all the popular culture is controlled by this NWO. And therefore, wherever you go in it, you're going to be twisted. You know, you're going to be taken down rabbit holes. I think they know too with conspiracies. I think they probably figure by this point, or that they figured a while ago, forget about trying to take the conspiracies out of people. Let's just twist the conspiracies. You like conspiracies? All right, let's give them all, you know, they'll just keep dumping more and more and more and more conspiracies so that you're so flooded with all this information that you don't know what to make heads or tails about. You don't know where to channel your energy. And that's, again, with Q, that's a great example, because what are people channeling? What are you channeling your energy into?
Well, Jeff, I really do think that, you know, the whole COVID thing and QAnon and all of that, it all pales in comparison to the real issue we should be talking about, which is the shape of the earth. And,
God.
and I think Jeff, we need to alert all the audience. Right.
Oh boy, now you're gonna get it. Now you're gonna get it, right? But that's it. Again, with the truth movement, that's exactly what they did. Is they came in with a huge operation, and they totally diverted the attention. They nudged it in a different direction. It's like Cass Sunstein 101, right? They just get everyone. If you're not talking about that, then you're not real. You're not a real person, or you're not a real truther or whatever, right? You're not really on the biggest thing, because what could be bigger than the earth itself, kind of thing, right? So that's the emotional manipulations that are played are extremely sophisticated, and these operations are massively financed, and you know, you can't. There's no way to compete against it. You're not gonna, you know, like I could make QAnon expose videos, and what good would it do me, right? Maybe a few thousand people would learn something from it. You know,
they'll block you. They'll be like, this guy,
and they'll stalk you and all that, right? Yeah, they do that already, sort of thing. So yeah, it's again, they do give good information, but they, of course, ultimately are telling everyone to trust and believe in some, you know, secret plot is happening, and everything's going to be okay. It's kind of akin to what they do here in Quebecistan, where they got everywhere you go, you got these fucking rainbows. Ça va bien LA, yeah, whatever, right? You know, it's like ça va bien LA, if you don't know, it's gonna be okay. They put them everywhere, guys. I mean, like, I can't walk down the street. They're on people's properties. They're fucking on lamp poles. They're in store windows. They're everywhere. They're on the buses.
You know what's funny?
Really good for you.
It used to be like Christian values and all of that. That were seen as and upheld as the most virtuous way you can be. Now, our most upheld value here in the United States and Canada is homosexuality. I don't think there is more of a value that is presented as more virtuous right now, because they'll present other things like, you know, like being a person of color and stuff like that. But that has nothing to do with values. That has to do with how you're born, which is even dumber.
Man. They're going to shut the stream down. They're going to shut.
In terms of values, I think the highest value, according to this New World Order, is homosexuality. Like once people realize that, it's kind of cartoonish.
Well, hey, okay, Tom, that is a perfect segue. Jeff, I got to shill this. I posted a link in the behind the scenes room, our coke room, to a Venmo video. And I don't know if you can stream Venmo video, because I know Venmo's really bad about copyright. But it's this video for the election that's going on now. And it sounds like a really bad 6ix9ine song. And it's about, like, it's all geared towards Hispanic, Latino people, that kind of thing. And so it does a bunch of Spanish, but it's all about how they need to move their pom-pom. They need to move their butt. And the video is it shows them, like, I can post the link again if you're not seeing it.
Oh, I see it.
I don't know if you can show it, though, Jeff.
I don't. If it's got music, I can't.
It's a political ad made by this guy in Portland, right? And he is, let's just say, he would not have cheese on his cheeseburgers, and he prefers matzah to.
You see the rainbow.
Yeah,
of course.
And it goes deeper and deeper. last night when I was trying to prepare ideas for things that were relevant to what you told me about for the Halloween stream, I ended up going into a rabbit hole. But about the rainbows and the furry stuff, well, rainbows obviously Noahide compliant, but when you get into the furry stuff, like I don't know if you guys are familiar with Fritz.
Oh yeah, I've covered it many times. The furries and the bronies and all that crap, the cosplay.
Yeah, the idea that we are all no better, that unless you're a special group, you're all just pathetic animals no better than dogs, yada, yada, yada. They do everything they can in servants to their benefactor, Satan, to lower us. And the best thing they could do, one of the best things they could do, is get us to dress up in giant animal costumes, huff poppers, and then go do butt sex with other guys. Like it's
Yeah, dude. Well, did you guys? I don't know if you guys caught that, but I showed it on my podcast. I think it was the last one I did. Maybe it was on. No, it wasn't the one with what's her face. It was the one on Monday Madness, and it's Trump, right? And I noticed this like a couple of weeks ago when I just was doing some work around the house and I had the Trump on the background. And I was listening, and when it came to the end of the show, do you know the song his theme song that they've been playing for this election?
YMCA.
Yeah. Yeah. YMCA. And so they have him singing, and it's not just a one and done. He's actually been using the song as the theme song for
Jeff, there's
the
videos
election.
of like, especially, I mean, I would imagine a lot of them are from California. I mean, just guessing. These rallies that people have, like Trump rallies, where they play the YMCA, and you see, it looks like a gay pride parade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just ironic. It's ironic and kind of funny. These are like Trump supporters.
Well, I tell you,
I don't know.
One of the reasons why it works well with what they're trying to accomplish is that with gay people, they're not going to pass on their genes, right? Yeah. So there's this nihilistic sort of element. I mean, there's other things too. Look, I'm not gonna come in here.
It's a multi-prong attack. When you have the chemicals in the food and water, when you have an ideology like homosexuality, all these things affect the birth rate, because obviously homosexuals don't typically produce children, biological children. They might adopt or something, but that's children that already existed. Then you also have like the food and water and the chemicals, and then who knows what will be in the.
Well, you can see, like, okay, so the pride itself and the formation of pride and the type of characters that they promote, like Harvey Milk and stuff like that, right? And then the Stonewall and all these events that they every year, and they get bigger and bigger every year and stuff like that. The one of the things about it, when you think about like pride itself being the biggest, the deadliest of the 7 deadly sins, and pride being a sin, the foundation of all the sins, basically, sort of thing. So that having pride and a false pride in yourself is very devious. So the whole nature of pride, and you could say LGBT, XYZ to a certain extent, like, look, people should be free to live their lives. Absolutely. Right. Like, I have no problem. People want to live a homosexual lifestyle. That, by all means, go ahead and do that if it makes you happy. Right. But there is a tendency amongst these people to not be empathetic or not really care about where the world is heading, right? Because they're not really part of the whole cycle of life. So this is one of the reasons why these people are very effective in what they're trying to accomplish, and they like sticking these people, like we're seeing now with transgenders, for instance, being mayors and politicians and congressmen and whatever, right? Like, they're going to just start popping up everywhere. And so when it comes to, like, for instance, they just had the Green Party here, the new leader that's been elected for the Green Party, who couldn't win her you better wake your ass up, but she's a Nami Paul, I think is her name, and she's a Black Jewish woman who probably LGBT, whatever. But the thing is that, I think that what we have you know, when we say satanic realm or the satanic sort of energy, that is manifesting in that's part of what they're unleashing upon humanity. So a lot of what we see is a total demoralization and a debasing, a deconstruction. The deconstruction of the family is all around us. In fact, horror movies are often with that theme, like the theme of giving birth, for instance, which Alien, you could say, Alien, that's actually kind of a cool thing to talk about, because I'm sure you guys have seen the movie Alien, right?
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
that is kind of the reverse birth. It is a very, like, there's a much deeper film than, like, most horror films.
Oh, H.R. Geiger was an
Yeah.
occultist. I just found out yesterday.
Was a what?
An occultist, or he was into the occult. Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And that's his art. The whole film was kind of based on, especially the alien itself. But even the way that the ships are designed, right? Like ovaries and stuff like that. Like it's the whole thing has a much deeper layer to it. And again, when you think about it, it's the film that kind of gave birth to the modern female heroine, right? They didn't really exist before Sigourney Weaver, right? Can you think of? Not really, right? Like women typically in movies, if there was a horror film, they'd be screaming, you know?
I mean, not in that manner. It was definitely the first, I think, that I can recall, and maybe we could be wrong, but you know, that presented the female heroine as as like a masculine character like that. I mean, there were probably other films before that, but you know, it was a more feminine energy where the main character might have been a female or something, like you know, Breakfast at Tiffany's or something. But you know, stuff like that. But yeah, it's just, you know, what's interesting about Alien, I think if you watch that over and over again, you know, for a month straight, I think if you're if you're a female, you'll be a little less encouraged to have children.
Yeah.
It does alienate the birthing process for sure, especially
And
when
look-
the android's giving the birth.
Yeah.
The poster too. Look at the poster. It's an egg, right? Like you guys can see this on the screen, right? This is the original poster for the movie with
Yeah.
this green sort of, and green, of course, is symbolic of Satan. It's actually the green color is what they say. The
Also,
color
there's
of
the
hell.
V in the egg there. It's the V.
Yes, the V, exactly. Very
The
good.
Green New Deal.
Yeah. and all the whole Alien franchise sort of thing, especially the reboot there with where they're going back, is all dealing with birth and again with seeding the origins of humanity and stuff like that. So
Well, it shows, you know, the truth behind the reptilian shapeshifters that secretly control everything.
you know, I'm gonna say this. I have a game. And I don't know if you guys ever game, but I would actually highly recommend this game for anybody out there that's like a horror movie fan, because I got this for the PlayStation, which is Alien Isolation, in which you play as a first person sort of in a giant ship like the Nostradamus or whatever it's called there. And you are trying to stay alive and being hunted by aliens, or by one alien, basically. So it's all based on the original film, and it has the exact same sort of setting and music, and the look is perfect. It looks just like, you know, the little clicky sort of mother and all that. And then you have the alien stomping around. I gotta do it on the floor though. To get the right, it's really scary.
Again, Jeff.
yeah, it's really scary. So anybody out there that's looking for a good horror film game to play, I don't know.
You know what they should make? A Predator video game.
They have those.
Oh, they do? Oh, I'm sure they do. Yeah.
That would be a sweet game.
I was always more of a Predator fan.
You can play it IRL. All you need to do is slip pantyhose over your head.
I have to admit, though, I like that horror genre. Like, I've never played a horror. Well, maybe I've played one
Horror sci-fi.
before. Horror sci-fi type experience. But I think that again. But the movie itself, like, I really believe, like, I've always found, for me, the original Alien is the best. I know Aliens is very exciting and it's a really good film. for an action film and all that, but like the original Alien to me is just terrifying. And I think that the whole theme, the feminist theme, is so huge, and the birth theme, you know, with the alien bursting from the chest sort of thing, right?
What about
like
the fourth one? That was the creepiest one with the queen alien giving birth to that hybrid. The
Oh,
human
yeah.
hybrid. That's
The
a really
hybrid.
messed up one.
Is that the one with? Is that Prometheus? Is that?
No, it's like
that's
Alien
Resurrection. isn't it?
Resurrection. Yeah.
Ah.
We'll see. I'll show you the
That one's
alien.
messed up.
The alien from that, because she's a clone. Is she not in that?
Yeah,
She's-
yep.
she's-
There's like several clones of her in the tanks.
Yeah.
Have any
This
of you guys ever looked at
this is
Alien?
the alien that she gives birth to.
There's Alien Rule 34s, which I know we can't show, but I've looked them up because back when Alien Isolation was big, I was like, I wonder if there's Rule 34s for it. And yep, there are.
I don't know
Yes.
what I would do if that thing ever came up to me. Like
Try to bargain with it.
You say, hey, it's all right.
I don't know what I would do. I would
hey-
hope I'd be armed. That's all, you know.
Yeah, or at least aroused. But
Knowing me, I would be armed. So that.
Yeah,
Jeff,
that's-
earlier you were talking about the and you brought it up, press the reset, I think, or maybe it was Anonymous. The after we talked about that political ad, move your butt or whatever, one of you started bringing up the homosexuality or that kind of thing. That guy on Venmo, that profile, he's a Portland Oregoner. I guess he traveled up the old Oregon Trail till he got to Portland and stayed there. But super kosher. And then he also shows on that channel on Venmo all his other works in advertising that he's proud of. They are all Nike and Coca-Cola ads. Okay, big deal, right? Soda and shoes. Well, you guys probably know that Nike is all about them sweatshops, and Coca-Cola is also all about them sweatshops. And his videos that he's proud of, it's like a Coca-Cola ad, and it's people just sipping soda and then kissing like their partner, and it's like a rapid montage. And the big one, the big climax, is it's a white guy making out with a black chick with a Coca-Cola in the background. So beautiful. I don't even have a problem with that per se. But they get weird with it.
It's
They
just what
force
it is.
on us.
Right?
Yeah,
This
they,
is-
they constantly shill it, and everything about that guy. It's like, if you've ever wondered why when you turn on the TV or watch a Netflix show or YouTube video with ads, everything is degenerate. It's because of people like this guy. And well,
That's
that's
it's what's going on. Like again, too, going back and looking at horror films and how they've changed. So I want to ask you guys about this because I was thinking about discussing this with you. I know you guys have varying degrees of how many horror films you've seen, and some of us watch a lot of them, and some of us don't. I'm one of these avid horror people. I watch even some of the contemporary ones, although there's a lot I haven't seen, but I've seen most of the classic ones. But one of the things that I've noticed, and I want you guys to chime in on this and just tell me if you're seeing the same thing, is that traditionally horror films, or films in general, right? And we've talked a lot about this in past podcasts. You know, we have people like Bug Smasher and co on, and we would get into Hollywood, but like there was a formula for a lot of movies, like just all movies in general, whether it's a Western or, you know, it's a drama or it's a sci-fi or something. Usually the good guy wins in the end, right? It was kind of like, that's the way you had to make movies for a long time, because your purpose to make movies was not to demoralize people, was not to put out films that make people feel really bad. Well, one thing I've noticed over the past couple decades is that horror films, well, all films, but horror films in general have got a lot darker, and typically, almost always, the ending is never uplifting. It's
Wait,
like
you mean the ending of The Descent? You didn't like that? Yeah, nah, you're right, man. You're
What, you
right.
didn't like The Road, Jeff?
that's the worst movie I've ever seen. Not
It's horrible.
because it was terrible in the sense that it was very well filmed and great acting and everything, but I honestly never felt so awful watching a film as I felt watching The Road.
I completely agree with you. I mean, you just epically described it. It's one of the most horrible things you'll ever witness. It's basically depicting a nuclear winter where everything is dead and everybody is like eating each other, and
You know what the story was behind that? When Cormac McCarthy wrote it, it's because he had his first kid in his 60s, apparently. And he worked because Cormac McCarthy didn't make the movie, he wrote the book. But he was like, this is a piece I'm going to leave to my kid because I'm so old and curmudgeon-y that I'm not going to be around when he grows up. So that's his level of hopelessness for the future his kid faces, which it's actually more interesting.
I would hope he made the movie as a warning, but I mean, one can only imagine. I mean, I don't even think the people at the top even want this. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to figure out because, like, I didn't read the book, but I'm very familiar with Cormac McCarthy. Right? He also did No Country for Old Men, if I'm not mistaken. Right? But the thing is that the movie itself, like, you don't really know what happens. You just know that one day, you know, he looks outside the window and then he starts filling up the bathtub. Right? It's like, you know, he's smart enough to know that this is really bad. Whatever's going on outside, it's the end of the world kind of thing. And then the family disintegrates. Well, she has a baby in after the whole event goes down, sort of thing, and then she's just his wife is miserable. Charlize Theron's playing the wife in this. I only saw this film once. It's one of these films I'll never watch again because I just hate it every moment of it. And again, it's really well done, and Viggo or whatever his name is a phenomenal actor.
It's just a depressing film.
Oh, it's just horrible because it shows like a dead world. Like everything's dead. The trees are dead. There's no insects. There's no birds. There's no nothing.
COVID back to the trees.
Yeah, the only thing that's left are humans, and they are eating each other literally. Like they're literally hunting and killing and eating each other. It's like the most disturbing scene I've ever seen in the movies when he goes down into the cellar, and I was like, oh my fucking god.
Yeah, he goes down into they like put him down into the cellar. Or no, he like goes down into the cellar and then he finds like a cage full of humans that are all like, I mean, it's just awful. They're all like naked, like starving.
Yeah, they're all missing body parts and stuff.
Yeah,
like
they're being harvested. They're being harvested.
They're being slowly killed, slowly eaten, basically, and they're all just like in blackness and help us, you know. It's like when I saw that, I was like, oh my god, like because you think that wouldn't happen, but you know differently with the nature, unfortunately, of humans. And it's not, I don't believe all humans have this in them, but I do believe there's enough of these types of people. And when I look around at what's happening now, it doesn't fill me with a lot of hope.
Oh man!
Well, the conditions are right. You get Holodomor, right?
Well,
you get Cannibal Island.
Hang on. You got 3 other guys with you right now, and an audience of just about 500 people who are on similar levels. And I hope it's obvious that like there's other people out there like that. And when push comes to shove, if you jump out of the city, the apartment, wherever we all are, and you decide to not go with the system, it's not all going to be bleak. You're going to see the most beautiful, casual exchanges of truth and goodwill that you'd ever see. And it's because I don't want you to start getting black-pilled because, God, dude, you got 500 people.
I'm talking about the movie, though.
We're talking about the movie.
The movie itself is so depressing, and not only that, but the way it's filmed, because it's all gray, right? Like everything is gray and muddy.
That's one of the most poignant things about it, Jeff, that I was going to say earlier. The cinematography. There you go. Thank you.
Tom's had a few drinks.
The cinematography is specifically one of the most depressing things. You want to see something with color, but no, it's all like it's not even gray. It's like this beige gray that it's almost like being in this fog the whole time you're watching it. It's odd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Did you ever read
it's one of those
Blood
films, like, why would you make this? Like, I wonder about some films that I see. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. So that, just like what I was saying before, and I still haven't really got your guys' opinion on this, but like on films, like horror films in general, and I think most films are like this, but I tend to watch horror films I don't watch dramas and chick flicks and stuff like that if I can avoid them. But horror films in general are almost always dire. Like the way that they end is almost always the bad guy winning.
Yeah.
Like, and it's been like this for a while. And if you think about it, it's like, well, you know, what psychological effect does this have on humans? Because that, again, when we discussed Hollywood, we discussed the movies and why like the 1950s and 60s had such clean cut movies, you know, and the heroic cowboy wins in the end and the bad guy is killed or hung or whatever, right? Like almost all stories end with the good triumphing over the evil. And this is completely shifted over the past few decades, in my opinion. And I'm just asking you guys.
It makes sense for the time. In the past, they wanted people to be, you know, proud of their nation and want to be that hero and stuff. And now they're ready to shift it over to everyone feeling dark and negative, and mental illness pops up for everyone. And it's just they've switched it because they're ready to initiate the next plan, right?
I think you're on to something with that, Jeff, and how much that really could affect people. I don't watch many movies, so that's the only main reason I haven't noticed it. I don't watch really any new movies. So, but I will say this: I think part of it may have to do with the fact that with the internet, people see the darkest corners, not the darkest corners, because not everyone sees that, luckily. But I mean, a lot of things that is recorded, you know, with cell phones in the streets and stuff, where the mainstream media and stuff, when they had particular control over what was put out in terms of information, a lot of the dark stuff was cut out. I think that might have something to do with it, but also what kind of effect does it have on people in terms of predictive programming when they're actually trying to say, well, we're the bad guys and we're going to win in the end. Like, this is how it's going to be from now on.
Yeah. They've been preparing people to see dead bodies more and more. They've raised the goriness and stuff. They want you to not be shocked by it.
That's been going on for a while.
Not want yourself to be the dead body, you know?
How many movies show us like a burgeoning apocalyptic scene where people are trying to escape from cities, and the first thing they have to do is start killing each other? They're revealing a little bit of truth that there is probably going to be panic or people wanting to get out of places, right? But then they present it to you in the worst way possible to encourage you to become a chud.
Well, yeah, I think, you know, and all the while, you know, keeping the focus on the horror thing, but all the while, all the battle royale style games and movies and everything else that has been Survivor, you know, like this psychological programming of the masses in the most popular realms, Fortnite, you know, PUBG and all these things, in which people are being programmed into being the last man standing.
Yeah, ego, man, because I'm the
survival of the fittest.
Mm-hmm.
Love the jungle.
Can I share something freaking weird with you guys, Jeff?
Yeah, not too weird.
No. I know that's wrong grammar, but whatever. Me and my roving band of misfits on Discord, sometimes we would look for like normie servers to kind of jump into and troll, and we'd all like whatever, we'd play characters, we'd all play like ADL characters or something. But we jumped into one server one day, and we found a bunch of like very occult aware, I don't know, big brain skeptic types, like almost like pretentious Redditors, but they were super into the Kabbalion and the Talmud and stuff like that, but they were Gentiles. But anyway, this one chick that we met said she could remote view our auras, which was the gayest thing I've ever heard, right? But my buddies were all like, well, I want proof, or can you do it now? And I realized, no, this chick's gonna be able to do it. And she started saying stuff, and whatever. Can't prove it because she's talking about colors and stupid intangible things. But then she put in text chat that she was remote viewing me right then and there, and she said there was something up with my right eye. And I was like, nope, nah, don't even know what you're talking about. But the thing is, she was right, because the night before I had slept in my contact lenses, and my eyes had gotten really itchy, and apparently I scratched them a bunch in my sleep. So I woke up with this red ring around my right eye. And the way I was seeing it is that people can, I know this, I forgot why I brought this up. There was a reason though, but people can do a lot of stuff that is next level. And when you start to go with that,
Imagine they start making these people with these psionic sort of abilities, telepaths and whatnot, like scanners. You guys know the movie Scanners?
yeah.
They probably already are.
I remember what it was. My buddies were all coming at her kind of hard. They were trying to be like, you're a Satanist, bitch, that kind of thing. They weren't that bad, but they were coming at her hard. And I was trying to kind of just incept the idea that you shouldn't try to play with these forces because it's a bad thing, a demon.
Never.
Yeah,
never. I don't mess around with that crap. I know it exists, and you know what? What's his name there? Christopher Lee. You guys seen the videos of Christopher Lee on YouTube where he talks about the occult, and he says, "Oh, it's real," and he said, "Don't ever go there," kind of thing, and he's very serious about how real it is. And he was an occultist himself, so he would know. But the reality is the demonic world. This is what we see too. Like they're really obsessed with the. It's funny because I saw an alien flick, which was the one by Denis Villeneuve, and I think it's called The Arrival. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I've seen that.
And like for whatever reason, I watched it. Probably because I do like sci-fis. But I found it pretty crazy because it's like the aliens that come, because it's a story of alien ships that arrive one day and you're like, are they going to destroy us or whatever? And the aliens that they're communicating with are basically the Cthulhu, right? Cthulhu mythos. It's like, what? Like looking at that, of course, right? They put so much of this Cthulhu stuff in our media. I mean, all the Stranger Things is dealing with that. Bird Box, as we mentioned before, was all dealing with the Cthulhu. Recently, The Lighthouse and so many other films that I've seen use this theme, and the video games, of course, are nuts about it. So I don't know, like these interdimensional beings is something that they are really big into, obviously with CERN and stuff, like they've been experimenting with
Jeff, that stuff's coming. That stuff is coming into the mainstream, I think. It's hard to talk about when it hasn't come out yet, but I think this sort of great deception of some sort of, I mean, you could call it a possible, fake alien invasion or something in the future, or a great review.
Or they're actually trying to open these portals to bring,
or like a real one where this stuff, and then, a lot of people pre-2020 never would have thought 2020 could have played out like this. Like, this is sci-fi shit, right?
Yeah.
If you were to explain this to somebody in 2018, they'd be like, dude. Yeah, okay, another conspiracy theory prediction. And some people might be hearing what I'm saying here about these spiritual revelations or extraterrestrial revelations in the future and saying the same thing until it actually happens. And
right.
I think that's what you're going to see play out. Who knows when? It's hard to say, but I do think it would be within the next couple decades at the very most, at the very least, I should say, and then at the very most, whatever, it would be like the next couple years. I don't know, but I think this stuff is going to play out. I think it's in their cards, and I think it's going to be used, especially if there's a section of the society, a large enough section of the society that refuses to go along with the agenda. They'll play that card, and I think they're going to play it either way, though.
Dude, I got something for you, Tom. All these paranormal podcasts have been getting bought up by this media group called Zohar Entertainment Group. and it's a dual English-Israeli citizen who was born in he was like born or raised in Israel. Then he moved to the UK, and he started buying up all these Western paranormal and esoteric podcasts. And
Sounds like a modern day Robert Maxwell.
well, yeah,
and
and
Truth Frequency Radio, are they owned by them?
they might be. I need to look that up. But check this out. I noticed that one of the podcasts he bought up, after he bought it up, they hosted some like new age contactees who were sitting there saying that, yeah, the aliens want to help us. They're going to come save us. But first, they have to get rid of about 20 million people that are holding us back.
Yeah.
And as a non-Christian, like now I'm a closet Christian, but I don't want anyone to know, so don't tell anyone. But back then, I was like, wait a minute. If they're explaining that these things are going to come down and save us, but they got to get rid of a handful of people first, wouldn't that be kind of like a rapture? And it freaked me out that, oh, okay, my bagel Zohar friend comes and buys up the media, and now we promote, don't worry, guys, we'll have our utopia. We just got to get rid of that. We got to make that group of people vanish first. Like,
yeah, if you look into those circles, I used to kind of research more of that. I have a couple of friends I grew up with who are kind of into that stuff, the New Age realm, I guess you could say, and that goes down a million different directions, not only spirituality, but like also the new earth, and then also, you know, extraterrestrial beings and interdimensional beings and stuff. They talk about that kind of stuff a lot, and there's so much you can lie about in that. That's the problem with it. Like a lot of it goes beyond the 3D realm, so you can't, even if it were real, even if what you were saying were true, it's very hard to confirm if you're not an adept in that field and experience it for yourself.
And
so
that requires that you become pretty deep in the occult and do a lot of bad things.
Right. A lot of these people who go on to say this, that, or the other on their podcasts or this, whatever, they'll push a lot of disinformation, and nobody will be able to confirm whether or not it's disinformation. And that's really the difficult thing. Now, when somebody remote views you like via the internet, and then they can confirm something in your personal life, then maybe you confirm something for you. But like, it's very difficult to ever confirm anything like that. And if anybody tells you on a podcast that, you know, the aliens are the good guys and they just need to kill like 90% of us, I would be very skeptical.
Right. Yeah.
It's all right. They're gonna. It's okay.
I would be very skeptical. I would say, does this alien have a name? Is his name Bill Gates? I don't know.
All right. I want to ask you guys, because we are here to talk maybe some horror films here. But what are your favorite horror films? Like, do you guys have any that or any recent ones? The Thing.
Yeah.
The Thing is awesome, eh?
So good.
They're going to remake it too, but damn, the original. Well, actually, because with The Thing, there's the 1950s version of it. It was based on a short story. I think it was Joseph Campbell or something like that wrote the story. The 1950s. Have you guys seen the original Thing?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's worth watching, but it's interesting because the Thing here. I'll just put 19.
How freaking old are you,
Another
Jeff?
World? No, I'm 90 years old. I've been watching. No, I'm a horror movie buff. I watch movies from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. I watch all films. Like I go through. I'll go back and watch silent movies often.
I like 70s to 80s films.
Yeah, 70s, 80s films are great. I think with horror films, the 70s was probably the best decade in terms of quality and like epic sort of, like, you know, Exorcist.
Yeah, I like the
old
slasher films and stuff like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Their first one was really good.
Yeah, I would say some of my favorites really do overlap with other categories. So I really liked Event Horizon. Now, that's definitely a horror film, but it's also definitely a sci-fi film. I don't know if any of you have seen that movie.
Yeah, isn't it like also satanic too?
Oh,
Like
totally,
a satanic
yeah,
creature in
yeah.
space or something like that.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's that's just a disturbing movie. I like the idea of disturbing the audience when watching a horror film. I think that's sort of the point, in my opinion, for a horror film. But I also liked, in a more friendly way, in a less scary way. It was more of, I guess you could say it's more of a Halloween movie. There's a couple of those I like. I like
Which one?
Donnie Darko. It's definitely not a horror film, I don't think, though.
Is
but
it
it's
true
Halloween.
that Donnie Darko,
It's like a thriller, isn't it, or
the
something?
last day of the world is tomorrow?
Yeah, no,
Like,
I know.
literally.
No, literally, right? It was 2020, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what else is weird? The character in that film was born on my literal birthday, October 2nd.
Oh my God! Oh my! We're all gonna die!
Isn't that so?
Jake Gyllenhaal.
But the year too.
He's the Bubble Boy.
Yeah.
It lists my birthday at the very beginning of that film,
Man,
October
we're
2nd,
doomed. We're
1988.
doomed, man.
Yeah, it's really weird. No, that's part of the reason. I think that's why I was so like, even like when I was watching it as a teenager, I was like, dude, that's my birthday. Like, that's why
That's
movie-
crazy.
Yeah, stuck on me.
About your age, Jeff. I just every time I'm in a stream with you, I want to have at least one comment where I'm like, God, you're old. So I'm sorry.
You
about
gotta
that.
watch you, Mr. Talented. You got to go and watch a lot of these old films because I'm surprised you haven't seen a lot of them because damn, your artistic sort of level is so high. It's like you've like because that's why I relate to a lot of the content that you put out because it's so artistic, it's so well done. So it's like you have that vision. But yeah, I love like personally. I love horror films. Like I love the Frankenstein movies, the original ones, especially the second and third ones that came out in 1930s. They're super cool films. I mean, they don't make movies like that anymore. The atmosphere, the gothic sort of castles, the lights, the shadows of the black and white and stuff. There's a different, like again, films like Freaks too, like were.
Todd Browning's Freaks?
Yeah, Todd Browning's Freaks.
Oh man, that's a creepy one.
Have you guys seen that?
Oh yeah.
No.
What about the?
Oh my
guys
God, you
gotta
haven't
watch that
seen
one.
it? Are you kidding
It's
me?
got real freaks in it.
It's
Yes, I have
from
seen it.
1932,
yeah.
and
You got pinheads, you got a guy with no arms or legs.
one of the most disturbing films. It's a horror film classic, absolute classic. One of us.
Oh, this is back
Gobble,
when
Google
you didn't have to be
Yeah.
politically correct, and you could actually make these films, right?
This is before, yeah.
Exploit Freaks. It was rough. It was but yeah, no, I saw that. I also
They'll
saw
never make another one like that again.
No. Now they're gonna host like, look at this this blonde guy with a family and his wife is blonde and his kids are hetero. What a freak.
That's right.
There you go.
It's a freak show. No, you'll have to be some pedophile or something like
Right.
that.
Oh
Because
no,
there's no way.
you're
There's no
absolutely
way.
right. There's no such thing. It's funny now. Whether it's horror films or whatever film, there's no such thing as just a normal white guy who's like the good guy and he has like it's always it's always something off. There's always something off about it.
This film though, I have to say though, if you guys haven't seen Freaks, like if you're listening to this and you're a horror fan, you should watch that film. It's still super disturbing, like because the actual freaks in it, like the guy you see up here on the screen, who has no body, he just has a torso.
Is that
He does
real?
a magic trick.
Yeah,
He can
it's
actually light
real.
a cigarette. And he can actually light a
100%.
cigarette.
Yeah, he can light his own cigarette.
So that guy, what is he?
Grown woman. That little kid was a playa. He got her to marry him or whatever, or submit to him in the movie because he was actually like a 43-year-old cigar smoker.
Oh yeah, this guy. Yeah.
Little, oh no, not the. or
Yeah,
maybe
the
like
little guy that looks like he's a man, but he looks like a kid, right?
I was lagging, so I was looking at a picture of a chicken nugget.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to see this movie.
Oh, you got to see it.
Yeah.
My word, you got to see it. You got to check it out. It's so crazy because yeah, they wouldn't be able to make a film like this today because you'd probably have a hard time finding these types of people. I don't know, like, because the circus back then, before you had television and film and all that, right? Like the circus, the idea was that's where you go to see oddities, like or amongst other things. You get a ride, you get a cotton candy and stuff like that. But the oddities were the things that the adults would go to see, you know, and the kids would try to sneak in. And they would have like the bearded lady and, you know, the muscle guy and but then you would have the world's smallest person and stuff like that, you know. I actually saw one of the films. I'll actually recommend this one. While I have the opportunity. It's called The Bride, and it came out in 1980 something, 85. So it's got Sting in it, right? And he plays Victor Frankenstein. So this is another take on Frankenstein. And Jennifer Beals is the bride that they make. Now, this film is actually really underrated because the Frankenstein monster, actually, he kind of gets separated from Frankenstein. They have a big brouhaha, and the whole freaking lab burns down and everything. And he ends up going on the road, and he meets up with this little midget guy who becomes his best friend. And the two of them, like he's the brute and the strength, and the little guy's the brains sort of thing, form this perfect bond, and they end up working in the circus. So you see the circus sort of lifestyle is really well acted, really good film, small kind of film that people have forgotten from the 1980s. But if you do like Frankenstein or the Frankenstein theme, you ought to check this one out. But yeah, I like a lot. I guess I'm a big horror movie fan. So
yeah, I'll have to say a lot of these movies, especially like from the 80s, 70s, and 80s, that are not B movies, but sort of forgotten movies that are good movies. I found to be really, really, really good and fun to watch. Not only because it's refreshing to see like the old like American culture in many ways, and when I say American culture, that just sort of means Western culture. It really, I guess you could say, preserved in that time. It's like a time capsule, because if you watch movies today, there's so much of this, I guess, neo-Marxist, cultural Marxist programming that goes on, to an extent that is so over the top. Like they used to do it in the early 2000s and up until 5 years ago, I'd say, or maybe 8 years ago. And it was more under the surface and less overt. Now it's hard to watch. It's really crazy. Like that show that sometimes you bring up, Jeff, and this, you can see this in the new horror flicks too, and stuff. But what was the name of the show that you brought up that like every single person in the show was a homosexual, and it had to do with they're able to telepathically talk to each other or something?
Was that Sense8?
Sense8, yeah. It's like a giant orgy.
Sisters.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Exactly. And it like half the show was like a giant orgy.
Well, they said on it was like the 6th show at the 6th minute or something. They had a massive orgy. Yeah, which involved, like, there was, I think, there's no way you could not get me to watch this in a million years. You couldn't drag my corpse to watch it. But because it was in the media and I was covering it at the time, I showed screenshots that were, readily available, sort of thing, of them and this big freaking orgy happening in the hot tub sort of thing. But they had a show called Sense8, and it was a bunch of characters. There was maybe a couple heterosexuals, a couple homosexuals, a couple transgenders, and they were all connected. And then they ended up in the hot tub in the 6th episode of the 6th season at the 33rd minute. It's interesting. I was checking out, I didn't get a chance to watch it again, but I'm going to try to watch it again, the film Hereditary, which I don't know if you guys have seen that one. But
I haven't seen it, but I heard about it. That's a Studio 843 film or something.
A24.
A24, right?
Yeah, they're the
director is Ari Aster. Ari Aster.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did the Lighthouse, and he did The Witch. Which
No,
I
no,
like
no.
The
The
Witch.
witch
I thought
is
that was
the witch is Eggers.
It's a different. That's a different one.
Yeah, it's the same studio though.
Oh, same studio. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some of these films that, like you said, I know you've talked about the Lighthouse before, which I haven't seen that one yet. But
You got to see that.
yeah, no,
I'll give credit when credit's due, and yeah, The Lighthouse is an extremely well done piece of cinema. It's very uncomfortable and claustrophobic, but it's so well done, and the acting couldn't be better. William Dafoe is just unbelievable in it, right?
I actually have a Willem Dafoe living under my bed right now.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, I like the A24 films, even though I know it's the New World Order and all that. I just think they're so well done.
Yeah, you know what the thing is? You were talking about Freaks, Jeff.
Yeah.
Or we were all talking about Freaks.
Yeah.
It's always been a lure, and I probably don't pronounce that right. Lure, a bait. A bait.
Yeah.
Pull us in by wanting to know the form of things. Like, if you, like, I wanted to remote view, and I was like, whoa, I can do stuff and see knowledge. Maybe I could see an alien or a secret base. I just want to see a piece of paper or a human or a name or a scene. But you can't do that with the big good. You can't do that with the big guy, because I don't actually, anything that like comes down and like freak shows, that was crappy, right? I mean, back in the day, going and looking and gawking at,
I don't know if it'd be crappy. I think it would be like,
Well,
you
if
have
you
to
laugh,
put yourself in that time. You would never see those things, so you would be like, "Oh my god, I saw a bearded lady last night," like, or they had the conjoined twins, or like
people that did it were glad to too. So yeah, but I mean, if you look at like the overall trajectory, right? We wanted to like see them. They had that industry, and what was that but like a proto version of the normalization of what we got today?
It's
I
guess you're saying there's a lure to these films because people are interested, even though like people get scared by the occult, they're interested in it, and they're fascinated by things that they don't understand, and so these movies give you a glimpse of a different realm that is dark and scary, but yet it's there, and it's there, and you can't always ignore it. You want to have a peek now and again, sort of thing. So you look at a horror film, and they'll show you a lot of this demonic realm. And this film, Hereditary, is one of the better ones of the past few decades for sure. I think it's up there with some of the most Exorcist and movies like that. They're extremely disturbing. The slow build, a whole family disintegrating, and going into psychological sort of madness by the demonic, being silently orchestrated by these demonic forces around them, and they're oblivious to the Satanist sort of cult that's orchestrating the events around them, and they're being torn apart, and it's so disturbing because you feel for the characters. They really get you. You start to. These films are, and this film. Anyways, I was watching it. And I caught something which didn't surprise me, which is the most disturbing scene in the film. So I'm going to give something away here, a little spoiler alert in the film. But this girl here, who is the one of the main characters, at the 33rd minute of the film, she gets decapitated. And what I caught on that was on the screen that the cut, or the what they use to mark the what do they call it there, the when you're making a movie and you have the scene number on it, and you have the little clip, this is cut sort of thing, you know what I'm saying? It was number 66. I took a screenshot of it too.
Whoa.
So yeah, it's a very disturbing movie about that a family that's being used to bring about this demon, who's not Satan himself, but it's one of Satan's top sort of servants, sort of thing, and the
backdrop is an heritable mental illness.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's a perfectly woven tale. Yeah.
It is, yeah, it is. It's a extremely well filmed and very well polished horror film. And one of the disturbing things is the miniatures aspect to the film, because the main character in it, the mother, she designs miniatures, and it's like the scenes. Like, I'll just show you this here if you can see it on the screen. I'll just put miniature in it, because they do this thing where you're watching the miniature, and then it zooms in, and it's no longer a miniature, but it feels like it is, and it's actually their lives, their home. So it's like this really bizarre constructed world, sort of dollhouse, kind of like what do you call it there? Cabin in the Woods type theme of, whether or not you're living in some sort of controlled existence paradigm sort of thing.
They have puppets?
Pardon me? Yeah, pardon me?
Yeah. Is there a puppet motif or that kind of thing too?
Yeah. It's more like miniatures in a dollhouse, but
Okay.
I can't remember if there's a puppet theme sort of thing. But yeah, it's a very disturbing film. And the director, Ari Aster, of course, did the one that I hope you guys have got a chance to check out, which is called Midsummer, which, if you've seen The Wicker Man, maybe Anonymous would know this, right?
I've seen Wicker Man, but I have not watched Midsummer yet.
Well, you got to watch it then, because it's...
I know. I mean,
Midsummer is very important right now because it shows a number of themes of the New World Order. It also deals with the deconstruction of family, because the main character, who this actress here just does a phenomenal job. She's absolutely fantastic in the lead role. But it's a girl whose family's basically destroyed, destroys itself kind of thing, and then they end up in this Norwegian cult, this pagan cult. They go to stay because of one of their friends, as part of this cult, and he invites them to go. And so it's a group of young students, who are in university sort of thing, and they go as a group to stay at this during this 90-year sort of, every 90 years they have this massive festival. And so it's very akin to Wicker Man, the pagan sort of elements. A lot of people say it's borrowed heavily from Wicker Man, but I think it feels it feels like its own film, like as a film sort of aficionado sort of thing. I think they're different, but I love the Wicker Man. The Wicker Man, the original Wicker Man. I've never seen the Nicolas Cage one.
Cage.
No, I've never seen it. Never will, because I don't want my memory. But the original one is one of the best horror films of all time, in my opinion.
Nice. When did that come out?
I believe it's early 70s.
72, I think.
Yeah.
Man.
Or 73.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen The Wicker Man, the original Wicker Man,
You gotta watch that.
you absolutely have to see it. Like, this is...
I have seen the remake, and just one interesting thing is none of the men talk on the island. They're just kind of like the slaves of the women.
That's an interesting observation.
Yeah, like the female is the lead. In the original one, it's a guy who runs the show, but in the remake, it's a woman that runs the show.
But in the original, it's more true to the actual sort of pagan rituals, in the fact that everybody had their own sort of assigned role, right? Like it's like,
for sure.
It wasn't like the Lord of Summer Isle was. I mean, he is kind of the Lord Commander, or whatever you want to say, right? But there's also the Mayfair Queen. There's all these other characters that have their positions within the society. You have the head school character there and stuff like that. But yeah, one of the things about The Wicker Man that is so good is not only how well acted in the story, but the way that it weaves the music in, because the music is seamless, and it's one of those pictures that. Where I hate musicals. I don't know what your opinions are on musicals, but I hate them. Like
Depends on the musical. Mostly,
I hate them
most
all.
of them I don't like.
I hate anything that
well.
just spontaneously breaks out into a song that, like, there's no way that's real. But The Wicker Man does it different, where it is all woven in, and it's just instruments and Mayfair pole sort of dances and whatnot. the music is all just there. It's organic, and it just is in the film, and it's so perfect. It's so wonderfully done. So that's one of the reasons why the film is so good. And the acting, of course, Christopher Lee and Edward Woodward as the leads, they're phenomenal actors. So yeah, this is
It's
my
interesting
opinion.
that it ties back to the Christopher Lee thing too.
Yeah. Well,
'Cause,
he
was Saruman, right? He was the white.
Yeah.
He was the wizard, the opposite of Gandalf. And then when he was filming Lord of the Rings, or around that time when he was old, he had that interview where he was like, "Oh yeah, the occult is real. It'll take your soul. Like I have a library of this stuff."
Yes. That's what I was talking about before. Yeah, he was saying it's very real, and it'll take your soul. Yeah, exactly. He's warning people never to go into it, sort of thing. Faceless. Stay away. Stay away.
No, yeah, dude, I'm no more remote viewing. Like I got real
there you
cocky.
go.
I thought I was like, man, well, if I'm not L. Ron Hubbard and I'm not Jack Parsons, nothing bad can happen to me. But what is the thing? Have you guys ever met people that are actually into like the nature worship cults? I have.
Well, this is the Midsummer is kind of like that, because the theme of Midsummer, again, it's pagans, but it's like they have their own beliefs and gods and rituals and all this thing, but they have a whole cycle to life. So again, this is a very important film because it is showing a lot of Agenda 21 in it, because these people live in harmony with nature, right?
It's kind of like Extinction Rebellion, really.
Yes.
Well, we have a lot of it. Yeah, we have it today. We have a Earth Day. They did a parade for Earth Day.
It's heavy environmentalist.
Yeah, and then Christians have told me that it's the worship of the creation as opposed to the creator. And at first I dismissed that, but they actually have a point. Like I love Earth. I mean, I love being in it. I love having trees and a dog and rats and grass and psychedelic mushrooms, right?
You gotta tell people
like,
you got rats.
Well, yeah. But then like people get weird with it. And there was all those like I don't know what they were. I don't know if they were Gnostic or what, but like all those cults, they were in Rome, or surrounding Rome anyway. They were in like, Italian grasslands. We've always had them. They're always around. And it's all about like, this is the part of Satan that's like laughs and giggles and pillows, the earth worship stuff, because it looks nice. It's the green, it's the pretty, the soft, a nice bumblebee.
The Green New Deal.
Yeah, the Green New Deal. Sustainability, my friend.
Yeah, I think Midsummer has a lot of that theme in it, right? The you can see it, like living in harmony with nature. Also euthanasia, because one of the most shocking scenes, and I don't want to give it away.
That's okay. I've heard you say it before.
Okay.
But spoiler alert.
There's a scene which it's really, again, this is a very well made movie. Like in my opinion, these are like the A24 films are right up there at the top when it comes. And again, I know these fucking people are probably Satanist and into all this crap, and of course they're pushing the New World Order, but they do an excellent job in creating these films, and they're expertly shot and really well cast and everything. So if you're a horror movie fan, these are films that are worth watching. Now, yeah, it's very disturbing what happens in Midsummer, especially the ending sort of thing. But yeah, one of the whole themes in it is that the people live as seasons, right? So they have the early season is like I think it's 1 to 18 or 0 to 18, and then there's like it's divided up, or is it 24 years or something like that? Every 24 years, and then it's spring, summer, fall, and then winter. When people reach the age of 72, that's when they offer themselves up, sort of thing.
That's generous for what they want, really, in this world.
Yeah. Now it's
that's
like
way too many years.
Well, that's it. They wouldn't want that. Logan's Run, you guys have seen.
Oh yeah.
That in Logan's Run, it's 30. The people are, and they have that extreme ritual in that film. That's not really a horror film, but it does have horrific elements in it, and it's probably a very relevant film right now. A lot of these films that were.
I've only read the book.
Okay, cool. Who wrote the book? Do you know?
No. I'm bad with names.
A guy named Logan R.
Was it a short story or a full book?
It's a full book. It's excellent.
I didn't know that.
I love those.
There's character in it that reminds me of David Hogg. This guy is like called Channy Moon or something like that. And he's like, he reminds me of him because it's like he's like the first young person to become president or whatever, and he initiates this law that the age law, right? So, and he's the first one to get sacrificed, basically, the first one to die from his law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure David Hogg is older than Jeff.
That's
David Hogg is like
interesting.
a 40-year-old veteran of the Force.
Yeah, he's
Sorry, I'll
they're
shut up,
gonna
I'll shut up.
probably clone
He's from
him.
the Freaks movie.
He's a kid. He's a kid. He's a kid.
But yeah, Logan's Run, you see the rainbow symbolism right there. But this is a utopic sort of vision of the future of a society that maintains its balance within nature by not, letting people live their full lives. They kill people off. This has been coded and programmed into humanity for a long time. And maybe with Logan's Run, it's more like planting the idea rather than, because like back then, and I imagine this one is the early 1970s, maybe. I don't know if anonymous
something like that. Yeah, I think it's.
I
the
would say
70s.
like mid 70s.
That sounds right to me.
So a lot of these books, and I read a ton of science fiction. Like that was probably my favorite genre as a kid growing up. But a lot of these books would seed these ideas into you about Agenda 21, about the New World Order, and maybe not in a way that, say, like Logan's Run. It's more like they're running away from the unjust law that they have, where people are being sacrificed when they reach a certain age. But that the fact that it introduces the concept to you, and then they take it further with things like Midsummer, where they justify it, right? Where it's like, this is a beautiful existence. You could live like this. If you comply, if we all agree that this is the way it should go. So and
You'll
again,
own nothing and you'll be happy about it.
there you go.
Yeah. And all the actors and actresses that they cast in Logan's Run, like even though now
Jenny
you could look
Cutter.
at the main. Yes, would.
Crush
But,
on that gal.
But you could look back at like the guy, and it's like, well, why is he handsome? He's not no Jason Momoa. But the point was that all the people that were like the Eloy types, basically like the good boy, Noah Hides, they were all beautiful, they were all pretty, they were all attractive, and, blonde, or you want to just diddle them. Whereas like then they had like a
What?
I forget the guy.
You're talking about Logan's Run, right?
Yeah.
Did you say you want to just diddle?
They were good looking though. I can remember that.
The way
I
it
just
was
remember
presented
Jenny
to
a
us, yeah.
Gutter, and I'm like, yeah, for sure, right there.
Was she
gotta
the
watch the
brunette?
movie.
Yeah,
The
she's
beautiful
the brunette.
God,
She's
yes.
the one
Like,
from.
yes.
Oh, another one of my favorite horror films, Jenny a Gutter, who's the star, is American Werewolf in London. You guys seen that one?
Yep.
I did
Yeah.
a long time ago. Yeah.
Oh God!
Wait,
it's
no, I
so
haven't.
good.
Yes, I've seen scenes. She's in it.
Yes, she is. She's.
I'm gonna watch it now.
You gotta see that film. That film is an epic classic. It has the best werewolf transformation in cinema history.
Yeah.
And it's such a cool story, and the coolest thing about the film is that it's a comedy and a horror at the same time. It's scary as can be, but it's also very funny at the same time, because the main character is he's a really likable guy, the guy that becomes the werewolf, and he's funny. And then of course he falls in love with aforementioned gorgeous Jenny a Gutter. Don't know her name, but
Is that her
how to
right
pronounce
there?
it. That's her. Yeah. And it's a terrific maybe the best, one of the best werewolf films that has ever been made. And if you're a fan of special effects, especially practical effects, like we mentioned The Thing before, that's why I love The Thing. The Thing is one of the greatest horror films of all time, because it's all practical effects, like nothing, there's no CGI, right? This is the 1980s sort of thing, so they didn't have any of that crap.
Something really creepy about this film. I just always found it super creepy having a werewolf in like the tunnel, the train tunnel.
Yeah, that was a great
it's a really
scene.
creepy scene.
That's one of the most iconic scenes because you have the banker guy he's coming home from the pub or something. He's late at night and he's all alone and he's walking, and you can feel.
You feel the tension.
Hey, about Logan's Run, 420 Proto Man, I think that was his name. Yeah, 420 Proto Man in the chat was saying Sandman equals Saturn. Do you remember how the executioners of the people that reached age 30 were called Sandmen?
Yeah.
The famous song called Sandman uses
yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
it uses Sandman. It uses a musical scale that back in like Greek age or Greco times, I don't know, like pre-running water but pro butt sex times, I guess 2000 BC. It was something like the scale that it used was called like the devil's scale, the satanic scale.
Do you know that's interesting? Do you know where that song is played? There's a famous horror film in which they play that song.
Really?
I'll give you a hint. It has to do with this podcast. The title of the podcast.
Halloween.
Yeah, there you go. No. Halloween. So Halloween. It's Halloween 2, if I'm not mistaken.
Whoa.
Is the film, and in the intro of the film, they play the song "Mr. Sandman."
Mr. Sandman,
bring us a dream. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. It's a great song. It's very melodic. But that's the devil's scale. Do you know what scale that is?
Nah, dude, because even though I can break strings on a guitar, I never actually learned to read music.
Yeah, that's a very classic, and that's interesting because that would explain perhaps why they used that. Because also in the film, so I'll put that in for a second here, Halloween 2, which I recommend as well, because Halloween 2, I mean, everybody knows the original, right? Which is a great horror film, obviously, right? But the second one kind of just picks up. It's perfect to watch right after because it's not Carpenter, but it's the same crew around another director, and it's more of the same. It's just not as cool as the original, but it has the exact same theme and the exact same vibe to it and all that. And it basically picks up. It's the same night. It's like a continuation. So, and it feels like just like part 2 basically. So, but they talk about Sam Hain. This is where they introduce, because before there was no mythos around Michael Myers, right? That Michael Myers was just he was the shape in the original, right? He was supposed to be the babysitter killers. I don't know if you know this, but John Carpenter was making a film about the babysitter killers, right? It's just a generic horror film, but his girl that he was with at the time, who happened to be the producer, said, "Why don't we call it Halloween?" And then they checked, and they're like, "What? Nobody's ever made a movie called Halloween." So they quickly bought the rights to the name, and they called it Halloween, and then they just released it like that.
What is Sam Hain? What's that?
Well, yeah, Sam Hain is it's a pagan sort of satanic ritual worship, and it plays heavily in the third one. But I'll just show you here.
It's like another word for Samhain, right?
Yeah, we'll show you here. It's actually, so it starts on October 31st, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see here. It's a Gaelic festival marking the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, dark winter of the year. It is held on the 1st of November, but with celebrations beginning on the evening of the 31st. And it's a Celtic day.
The second or something, right?
Pardon me?
It goes until the 1st of the second. Yeah.
It's the winter solstice, right? It's the or the autumn equinox, and between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice.
Correct.
So, yeah. And so they say here it's pagan, Celtic pagan origins, and dealing with the other world. And the third film, which is actually quite good, and it's much maligned, but it's actually quite a good. It's the Halloween 3, which is called Season of the Witch. And it's a Celtic sort of pagan. They're using like a runestone or something like that. And then have you guys seen the third one, by the way? Anyone?
The runestones.
I've seen them all.
Anonymous. Yeah, there you
Seen
go.
them all.
Of course. So the third Halloween 3. So you see the Sam Hain. So they talk about the Sam Hain ritual, and this is allegedly Michael Myers wrote this with his finger or something, right, on the blackboard because he was going after his sister. In the first film, there was no story. It was just he was just this guy that showed up this thing and started killing these people, right, for no reason.
The funniest part about him,
Well,
and he's not really a person. He's like a
He's called,
ghoul.
he's called the Shape. In the original one, he was called the Shape.
Shape?
Like that was the it was Michael Myers, but they also called him the Shape because he wasn't supposed to be anything. Like there wasn't. They show the
that's
little
funny.
intro, which is him as a child when he kills his sister, right? That scene. And again, it was all heavily influenced by this Canadian film that was called Black Christmas, and I'm sure Anonymous has seen that one.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one too.
Yeah. It's actually really good. Black Christmas was a film, a small sort of Canadian horror film, and it was basically just some guy who murdered a bunch of girls in a sorority house, right, at University of
I
Toronto.
mean, we've
or
all
something
wanted
like
to
that.
do that.
Well,
Of course.
bang them. But anyways, the what Carpenter borrowed from that film was the perspective of the because like that's the first film that kind of did the with the breathing and the perspective from the mask, right, from the killer, so that you're seeing, because like horror films didn't really use that angle before Black Christmas came
Whoa.
along, and then Halloween jumped on it. And so I'll just put that in for a second here. Black.
Yeah. And that's also
Chris.
hilarious.
The mask is actually William Shatner's face.
Yeah,
Wait, really?
it is William Shatner. It is. The girl in this
Man.
is so gorgeous. Olivia
Yes, you
Hussey.
could say.
Holy crap, she's so beautiful.
Whoever made his
Yeah.
face must have shat themselves. Heyo.
Black Christmas is actually pretty cool little film, but you do see, like as you see here, you're seeing from the perspective of the killer sort of thing, and that's where John Carpenter was influenced by that film and made it is a William Shatner mask in the Halloween movie. It's crazy because they had all these masks that they were going to use, and at the last minute somebody picked up a William Shatner mask, and then they went and they painted it white. Right?
What was going on in William Shatner's career that made his face so popular that there were masks of him? Was it like it wasn't Star Trek. This was pre-Star
Had to be
Trek,
Star
right?
Trek.
Oh, it was Star Trek. Yeah, absolutely. Because Star Trek became a cult thing. It went into syndication, and it was, I guess they played it on in throughout the 70s or whatever, right, on television, and they were. I think they came out with a few movies, right? Like I don't know when Star Trek, the first movie came out. But it was I guess a William Shatner mask. But
I never knew that. That is one
I
of the
didn't
most
either.
hilarious things I've ever heard. Like it that whole time he was wearing a William Shatner mask.
Yeah, it's a William Shatner mask. That's the truth.
That's so funny.
They
It
just
kind of makes it a
basically.
comedy now.
But what works so well about it is because it's all filmed, in darkness for the most part, but the mask lights up so well. So
And the
it's
darkening of the eyes is really key here.
exactly.
If you
It's
could
like
see his eyes, it wouldn't be the same.
the original mask is way better than any of them that followed. Like even
Oh yeah.
the more recent, because this is the original mask. It's just
I think
perfect.
4 and 5, like Halloween 4 and 5, it's like the mask is the worst ever.
Yeah, it's like, how did they mess it up? I mean, you've got all the money in the world.
Like they went to the Halloween alley and grabbed
But
some
yeah,
shitty mask.
it's William
was neat
Shatner, as you see here, William Shatner. I don't know
That
if
was neat that you said that that they called him the Shape, because literally the people who created the movie or the story, he was supposed to be, a thing that was, formless, but this is the vessel he takes. But then what happened? The audience loved it so much, it became such an icon that we got that shitty Rob Zombie movie where And then what were we doing just now? We were sitting there talking about the mask. We also got caught up in like the form of it. Like, well, it was actually William Shatner's butthole.
But you can when it when it comes to films, and this is like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a great example of this. Is why is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre such a powerful horror film? Like it is, to me, it's one of the most disturbing horror films of all time. It still works so well. And why was it so good? And still is to this day much better than 99.99% of horror films that are out there. Well, it's one of the reasons because they had no budget, and the actors and the set, the whole thing happened during a heat wave, and they were all dying of heat, and they were all just basically broke, and it was a shitty situation. So the stress of filming came out of the film itself, like the actual the girl screaming and stuff like that. That's real. She's not acting. She's actually freaking out because she's actually going crazy from the whole production, that it was so awful for these people. And so they actually did with the Blair Witch Project. They tried to recreate that because they were film aficionados like myself, and they read all the stuff, and they knew that, oh yeah, if we can terrorize our actors and chase them around at night and deprive them of sleep, force them to live out the characters, sort of thing. And this happens in a lot of films. Like, I think most famously it would be
Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, Apocalypse Now is insane. The whole production of like the scene there with Martin Sheen, where he's cutting himself and he's completely out of his mind. That's actually real. Like he actually had a nervous breakdown. He even had a heart attack. He had a nervous breakdown and a heart attack on set because he was like just losing his mind, and he was on cocaine and alcohol and whatever else.
The other one is Batman. Is it Batman Returns?
Yes, that's the one I was going to say. The Heath Ledger.
Ledger.
He lived the part. He actually lived the part. This is a lot of actors do this. It's a different form of acting. Where
it's like method, right? I mean, because they make themselves suffer. The best ones, Daniel Day-Lewis.
It's an extreme form of method acting where you invoke real emotions, or the British way is a little bit more like living like the character or stuff, but it's kind of a cross between the two different major sort of acting things. But yeah, they a lot of characters have done this. Robert De Niro did this, Raging Bull, for example. Raging Bull's great.
Is this why BDSM guys go so hard on their mates and like slap women with whips, because they're trying to they're doing it wrong?
You get that?
Because they're like,
I don't know.
It's like,
I don't even want to know what those people do. But yeah, actors have been known, and a lot of the great actors have been known to go to extremes to be able to nail a character, and sometimes it kills them in the process.
That's such an odd way of living your life. Imagine like these actors. I saw one too, The Machinist. Have you seen that?
Yeah, with Christian Bale.
Yeah, and I guess that's almost like a horror film. It's like more of a
That's a good film too.
Yeah, that's another really good one where that's Christian Bale, where he obviously lost so much weight.
Oh, it's disturbing as fuck.
It's disturbing how
sleep.
Yeah, and it's the extent to which some of these actors go is I guess you could say it's almost admirable, but I could never picture doing the things they do to get into these roles. It's just, it's sickening almost.
What about like the Shia
Look at that. Can you see that, guys?
Yeah.
Like
that's
how,
Christian Bale.
What was that tank movie called with Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf, where Shia LaBeouf, he's like, well, I'm going to go full method. And he just refused to bathe. And then he went to a fancy dentist and got his teeth edited. So it's like, whoa, real impressive, Shia. I loved you in Transformers. He's into Songbird. Hopefully he has a reprisal. Hopefully the Transformers.
You in Transformers, bro.
COVID in disguise.
That's so. I could never watch one of those films. I just can't. I cannot bring myself to watch a Transformers film.
I thought the first Transformers was cool until I realized I had I was missing a chromosome or had an extra one.
No, I did too. You know, it's funny you say that. When I first saw the first Transformers with Shia LaBeouf, I thought it was so cool in the theaters. Like when I watched it, I think I was probably in high school at the time. And now I like tried to go back and watch it, and I was like,
Yeah.
what?
It's just trying to sell you Camaros and Budweiser.
Yeah, it's such a just.
It's Michael Bay, by the way, too, eh?
Yeah.
Is it not? So
Ties into Songbird.
Yeah, the Songbird.
That movie's probably going to have product placement for the freaking vaccines. Let me just crack open this cold vaccine and drink it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's no joke too, because the vaccine industry came out of nowhere. It's like it's the fastest growing industry in the world. It's like it's doubled its size in just a matter of like half a decade. It's now like raging towards $100 billion industry, and it could be the biggest industry in the world coming forward as you know what's going down, sort of thing. So. It's pretty crazy. It's you know, and too, like we're talking about films tonight, and I like to take a break from all the madness, you know, and typically on a Friday show, that's what I do. And that's why, you know, like I don't want to be so dire, and I'm trying to, you know, say some enjoyable things. Like I do love horror films, and I watch a lot of them, and I can recommend certain things that maybe aren't chock full of agendas, or just really cool films that if you like a good ghost story, or you like a good horror film or something, or even a good slasher film, you know, I don't think they're too harmful. But I think the movies that are coming out now are much different. I think there's a far more sinister force that is operating, you know, it's a different realm, you know, like the Disney's like the biggest thing in the world, sort of thing, right? So it's like so many I guess you can go back to the 1980s and 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s and find all these wonderful gems that just came out of that era that maybe weren't, you know, so infused with NWO agendas. And I think
was about to ask
go
you
ahead.
if you could start recommending dank films to the audience, because we need to get them excited. But then I realized you're just going to recommend like there's this silent movie with James Cagney.
James Cagney? No, I doubt that.
Like,
yeah, you know what? I can recommend some pretty cool films. Like I'll give you one example that is maybe not so known, but it's called The Other, and it's a ghost story. I believe it came out in the early 1970s, and this is a really cool, slow sort of build type of ghost story that The Shining is actually hugely influenced by this. In fact, it's pretty obvious if you watch this film that Stephen King basically borrowed heavily from the theme of this movie. It's just the basic rural sort of American family that has these two twins that are, you know, they're the twin symbolism. One is a good twin, one is a bad twin, and one of them has this power to be able to see things through other beings and stuff like that. Anyways, this story just builds of this family and all these tragedies that are happening, and then you start to realize that they're not so random, and they're actually all part of something sinister that has been happening with the family, sort of thing, and the two twins in the film. So that's a really cool film for folks out there that want a good ghost story. Of course, we mentioned
the Kidman one. Is the Kidman one a remake? Is that like
no? It has
Kidman
nothing to do
version
with it. No, nothing to do with it. Yeah,
Okay.
The Other, 1972. Check that one out, you guys. If you like ghost stories, that's a great one to watch.
Did you ever see
Faceless,
Straw Dog?
I make a horror movie list every year on my Steam. I'm releasing one tomorrow, but I have one for 2019 and 2018. I got like 25 movies listed that you can check out. I'll link them.
Give us some of your.
I'll link them in the private chat.
Sure.
I got lots. Reanimator is a great series.
Oh yeah, Reanimator. That's it's H.P. Lovecraft too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, these are great. They're fun.
You
They're
dang old people. You actually know good
they're
stuff.
B movies, but they're just well done. And yeah, the Reanimator series is really cool.
I mean, Faceless, you keep mentioning Chud, so I mean, watch Chud.
Yeah, Chud. Yeah, and Chud too. Bud the Chud.
Chud. You have to put that in his initials, though. Eh? You gotta Chud.
Yeah, I'll communicate this to the
Yeah,
audience.
Chud. So that's what a Chud. I haven't seen Chud, by the way. I was just wondering what
There's a few of them.
That's a Chud creature.
Definitely
then,
watch
eh?
the first one though.
Now we
Oh,
know. Whenever
I've never
Faceless
even
says,
seen it.
Is that Melinda?
When I first saw the word Chud in a VHS store back when we still had like Blockbusters, my buddy and I
"Damn, how old are you, man?"
Like 14. Well, oh no, I see what you did. Oh yeah.
Remember
He was in a stroller then.
I was gonna say, man, what were you like, a twinkle in your dad's eye?
But I pissed my pants laughing at the names, and my buddy and
Chud.
I were just having
Yeah,
such
yeah.
a blast. Yeah, Chuds.
It's an old it's an old like classic sort of
That-
VHS cover. You know, you're like,
It
yeah,
literally looks like the mayor of Chicago.
yeah,
Killarney
the Crypt
Plan.
Keeper Beetlejuice there.
Yeah,
What's her
well, I
name?
forget her name.
Oh yeah, Lori Lightfoot. Yeah,
Lori
she's amazing.
Lightfoot. Yeah.
Yeah,
So Sandra
oh my
Bullock at the
God,
end of,
she cracks
Bird
me
Box.
up. The Crypt Keeper.
I posted a meme of her.
Speaking of Crypt Keeper, watch the Creep Show series.
Creep Show. Let me look this up.
No, I got a really good horror movie to
Oh,
recommend.
Creep Show is awesome. Awesome.
The best horror movie I've seen. It's very disturbing. It's probably the most recent one I can think of. It was the press conference with her the other night.
Where she's dressed up like a superhero.
Oh yeah,
Rona Destroyer.
The Clorox.
Yeah,
Insensitive, guys.
yeah. She was. I mean, it's just so cringy, and I just don't know how she could be elected. I don't understand. I really
She kind of looks like Beetlejuice.
Yes, she does. It's
I guess that was an oversight on Q's part. But okay, here's one for you.
You didn't see that one.
I posted it in
Beetlejuice,
our
of course.
Studio 54. Fair-haired child. Have you guys ever bought like a VHS of like some like horror anthology stuff that you've never seen elsewhere? That's where I saw this one called Fair-Haired
my
Child.
God.
Dude, I can't get over this right now, though.
Oh, it's too. She's awesome, man.
Look at, they definitely enhanced her eyes in that photo. That makes me
Beetlejuice, nice.
I love it.
Man. How old is she, by the way?
We
Is she, like,
got a
really-
horror movie playing right now.
Is there a justification
like-
for why she looks like that? Or like,
that
we all
guy
supposed to
that-
pretend that's normal?
I was saying like she sticks her head in a wind tunnel every morning, and then she sniffs like 1,000 corpses.
Oh man.
She was the chick that had the job where you smell people's armpits to know if the deodorant worked. Poor lady.
Oh my god! Yeah, she cracks me up. I swear. I'm glad that they at least in the apocalypse they're giving us these colorful cartoon characters.
Yeah. They're rolling
Yeah.
out the
Like
best
Doug
costumes.
Ford, Doug, the big Michelin guy. And you got what's his name? The American Psycho there. The American Psycho. Come on, you guys know what I'm talking about. The governor.
I'm looking him up. The
Psycho
premier.
California.
Wait, okay. Doug
bad
Ford is premier of Ontario. Who are you talking about?
The
Oh my
American
God.
Psycho.
No, you're talking about Newsom.
Yeah, Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
Hey, he's the American
yeah.
Psycho. Like he literally is that character. Like he
Does look
Yeah.
exactly like
Yeah.
Oh my
He
god.
probably has a collection of that movie stored on VHS.
there's no question that he is playing that character. Like there's no question whatsoever. I would not be surprised this guy butchers people every night.
Have any of you guys ever partied in Cali? Because like something, I don't know if it's in the air or
He
the
puts on
state.
he puts on Tom what's his name there? Phil Collins.
Yeah.
Or Huey Lewis in the news.
And he starts telling you about how much he loves the movie American Psycho.
Yeah. You ever seen this movie? Came out in the 90s. Or no, I don't know when it came out, but
Isn't he the one who kept saying like, "You fucking people, you gotta listen to PG&E, or else we're gonna keep whipping you."
yes.
Like, oh yes, Gavin, my bad, master. Sorry, I hate electricity, Gavin. I want to move into the pod.
Some of the restrictions that he's put into place are crazy. Isn't it like you can't have more than 3 people or something?
Yeah, that's Quebec actually. But yeah, I mean, it might as well be. It'll be that. If it isn't today, it'll be tomorrow. I mean, whatever they've done in Melbourne, if it's kosher in Melbourne, it's gonna happen. You know.
Yeah. Speaking of
Well,
which,
remember in Germany there was down to 2 people like early on in the pandemic.
Yeah, Spain and Italy, and you know,
in Belgium, they actually reduced it to half a person.
That's good.
You're gonna cut yourself in half,
Mr. Sandman.
Bring us a dream.
Would it surprise you though? Would it surprise you if they said shit like that? I mean, honestly, at this point, I do feel like they would try to justify that. They would literally try to justify that by saying, well, if you average the amount of people in each room, we want it to be half a person.
They had a guy here who's like this new age Christian phony baloney guy, and he's the youngest MP in Canada. So he's I don't know, he's the provincial government, right, in Ontario. And he had this huge, massive family gathering, and he had like 200 people. They were all like tight as could be, taking photos, no mask, no nothing, right? While this guy is putting out every day, you have to social distance, you have to stay, 6 feet apart. And so this went all over the media, and I'm theorizing. I haven't done a video, but I'm actually working on a video on it. That it's all part of an actual, psyop. That they're actually putting that out because they know that it's the religious groups that are doing the gathering. And so they can use like a Christian guy. And of course, Doug Ford came out and said, oh, no, it's okay. He made a mistake. No big deal, kind of thing. But of course, they are making it illegal and they're fining people thousands of dollars. So here in Montreal, you get fined $6,000 for violating if you're congregating or you're meeting up with
they're going after the Jews in New York. They're like, after these Jews that are against
the Orthodox Jews.
Yep, that's right.
And James Woods was tweeting the other week about how, gosh, they're rounding up Jews now. The Democrats are, like I always said, they're the Nazis. Like, yes, James Woods, you freaking idiot. They're making them
James
follow
Woods
the same
shill and a half and 3/4. He's one of the biggest shills out there.
I dare say he wasn't even that great of an actor.
Well, I mean, I just feel like it's just played out at this point when these right wing pundits try to say that it's like a boomer meme at this point to say that Democrats are the real racists or that they secretly hate the Jews or something, because it's just so played out and lame at this point. Nobody buys into it. They've been trying to say that now for like 25 years. Like, come on.
Yeah. While simultaneously groveling before a mysterious group that's never been identified that owns the banks.
Well, yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
I wonder. Okay, I have this crazy theory that like right now, if one of you guys was like secretly a con man, like if Jeff C is actually a woman in Uganda and he's running a con, now would be the best time to do a bad thing. Like, you will get profit and shekels and glory, whatever it is like you're looking for that's like worldly and crappy right now, because Satan's got a huge boner looming over us right now. Now's the right time to do bad things if that's what you're going to do.
You hear
But-
that, psychopaths?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're basically doing it. Bill Gates is like, I've always wanted to kill 3/4 of humanity.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But,
Well, you saw the smirk on his face when he said the next time people will pay more attention to the restrictions we have to put in place when the COVID-21 comes along. And these people get giddy. They get giddy.
Yeah.
They actually get this this sort of pleasure from lying to you, and they get a pleasure from causing harm to humans. It's very, very sick. And I don't know what it comes from. I think it's some sort of like addiction they have almost. These politicians, and they laugh about it, and they behind the scenes they just think it's hilarious that they lie to us and we buy into it. Do you know how funny they think it is that we walk around with muzzles on our face?
right.
With these slave masks. And have you ever seen Bill Gates wearing a mask? Has anybody out there ever seen that? I haven't. I don't think there's any pictures of that. Like, type it in. You'd be hard pressed to find it, I think.
Right.
Maybe you would. I don't know. But if you can't, it doesn't exist. I'd like to see, actually.
I just put it in, Tom. It doesn't exist.
Yeah,
Check it out. Check it out. There's nothing.
There's nothing.
There's nothing. You got Elon Musk. You got the president.
Yep.
Well, I mean, if you put a
there's
mask on Bill Gates' face,
there isn't one photo on Google of Bill Gates wearing a mask.
This one looks like it's superimposed on.
Yeah, that's probably not even real. The Melinda one.
It's not. No,
I bet you there's not even a.
Oh wow, that's a great point, dude. Because it just doesn't exist.
After Bill has an interview, after he brags on like national or worldwide television about how he's screwing us, he goes home and he starts like putting petroleum jelly on his butt, and he's like, "Melinda, did you see me own the people?" She's like, "Yes, no, bend down."
Good job.
Get on all fours.
Here's your treat.
Look, Melinda, look what I did.
Open the gates, Bill.
The gates of hell.
Oh, and even though we can't find a picture of him without a mask, there's also no picture of Bill Gates staring at a blue screen of death on a Windows OS.
Well, I always, I've been saying this for a long time, but it's not ironic that the guy that gave you the virus, like on your computer, brought you the virus here.
Does that mean that John McAfee is technically Jesus?
No, because his stuff was even worse.
Yeah,
it's like the fake solution that's actually designed there to like
just so he could go to the jungle and like get Hispanic chicks to poo on his chest. He did freaky stuff out down there in where was he? Costa Rica or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
They interviewed locals, and they got real graphic. Like, oh yes, Mr. McAfee wanted me to poop in his mouth. Yep.
Oh my God.
American millionaire, everybody, repping the nation.
Yeah, wonderful. Hey, the hero guy. Hey, QAnon. Yeah, Bill Gates. You got to think, man. He might be the most evil guy ever. He might be like, I'm more evil than anyone.
The most evil spokesman.
He has like train sets in his
He's like
mansions that are
Stalin.
just
Stalin's
evil.
got nothing on me. I kick his ass. Now,
Makes it-
go to
makes-
hell.
Whips up a batch of like evil fruitcake.
You know what's funny? His last name too, Gates, the gates of hell, right?
Yes, yeah.
The gatekeeper.
The gatekeeper.
Mhm.
And he's unleashing the gates. He's opening the gates, so to speak.
Yep.
Um,
And that's why he's
and it-
smiling.
Yeah, and he loves it. And isn't it hilarious? He literally thinks it's so funny. He gets to tell all of you to wear the face diaper. There isn't one photo on the whole internet of him wearing a mask.
Yeah.
So it just tells you that these people do not practice what they preach, and they don't. It's all a con. It's all a giant con, in my opinion. Now, of course, here on YouTube, on Jeff C's channel and on my channel too, and everybody believes that we must follow the guidelines of WHO. So, yes. That being said, everybody wear your facial diaper.
Everybody got social distance. Come on, everybody, social distance. Everybody 6 feet apart. Everybody 6 feet. Social distance. Put on your mask.
Guys, wait, Jeff, where are you broadcasting from? Are you 6 feet away from me right now?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I gotta get further.
Okay, yeah, I'm in Massachusetts.
I've got a
Where are you?
big jug of hand sanitizer here that I keep squeezing it. You know, I've got it perfect. I got it
That's
down
not
to a
you in the
science.
other
I
room, is it? fake
fake it every time, guys. Like I do the squirt thing and I fake it. I totally do. I'm not putting that. crap
That's
on
what
my
she
hands.
said. That is what she said.
They mandated the masks here in Edmonton on August 1st. I have yet to wear a mask anywhere. I don't wear a mask at work. I don't wear a mask at stores. I have to take the bus in the morning.
Just
I
on
don't wear a mask
podcasts.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just on podcasts. Yeah.
So you're
Guys,
also
right
It's
now,
gonna be a
wearing-
mask. It's gonna be my choice. And when
Yeah.
I wear it.
Dude, I would be thrilled though if I saw you in you showed up with your anonymous mask and you're like berating somebody or something on
For sure.
on-
That will happen one day. I'm sure.
yeah, that would be great. I'd be like, yeah.
You guys remember Heaven's Gate cult, right? The guy they
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
what did they do? Drink Kool-Aid or a poisoned like vodka drink?
It was pudding or applesauce and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that they
think
could
you're
hitch a ride.
getting
on-
the Jim. What's his name there?
Jim Jones.
yeah,
Jim Jones.
yeah, cool. But no, the Heaven's Gate people, they were supposed to hitch a ride on Haley's Comet, all that crazy shit. But sometimes, like I was telling my buddies the other night that like my whole family and I had like a COVID scare, and I
Do you believe
Yeah.
this though? Like I don't believe that story. I think that's a made for Hollywood sort of thing.
well, check it out. Like, what if the solution for some people, it's not going to be this for all of us, and I'm not saying you all have to go this route, but there's going to be people who say no so in the face of this system that it'll kill them. But there's going to be people among those who get killed they did the right thing, and in a way they get a ride out of here, but they're not going to be on Haley's Comet wearing freaking cool sneakers or whatever Heaven's Gate was all about. But it's like there's something about how all these cults that came after are all cheaper imitations, kind of like the biblical stuff about how like, oh, there will be people imitating me, there will be people copying it. Like, obviously if you tell a whole compound of people to kill themselves to win, you're evil. But if the beast system is trying to force a horse cock up your butt, maybe you're right to die, but while saying no rather than submitting. And believe me, I'm sure like FEMA has 50 million horse cocks stocked up around the U.S. right now. I know in Canada that you guys got the camps coming. I know they do
Oh,
New
yeah.
Zealand. It's
We're ahead of the pace. We're ahead of the curve here. We're
Yeah.
like, let's not
That
flatten
was
the curve.
actually
Let's
predicted
make the
a long
curve.
time ago.
But yeah, Jim Jones, the Kool-Aid call. I wonder about these stories because Jim Jones was CIA as well, right? So
Really?
yeah, absolutely. Again, I would say to Charles Manson, like I would say that's a made for Hollywood sort of production. I think they've been doing this stuff to us forever, kind of thing, and that they put these characters out. I think the purpose of it is because the strength of Christianity. The average American for so long, right, being more of Christian faith, that this is something they have to shatter, and they have to create these characters over and over again to you could say even Jim Baker and many of the televangelists and stuff like that would be part of that type of psyop. Like build up a character for so long, make them larger than life, and then tear them down and show, and then it becomes a sort of stereotype, right? Because like that's what the stereotype now is. What I see about anybody that's Christian, for example, they'll throw out like anybody that has like a following or something like that. But then again, with the churches, and all the new wave type Christian churches that are out there, they have been establishing and proliferating their shill operations within these communities for decades, sort of thing. So it's a difficult sort of realm to navigate, because I think a lot of people want to find faith in people and believe that they're
Satan's not like you and I. Like, we have to walk if we want to get in a building. We have to go through security. But Satan is whatever. It's this. There's humans. There's worms. There's fish. There's dogs. There's humans. Then there's consciousnesses above this, and they can do things we can't do. And that doesn't mean we should sit there and worship Satan, because the people that do, I mean, what, do you want to be a banker right now? Great. I can have a mansion as the world lights up in flames. But
that interesting? The Branch Davidians, did you see this? I just brought this up here because you know who I'm talking about, right? With the Branch Davidians.
What's his name?
Koresh.
Koresh.
Look at the symbol.
Davy Koresh, yep.
Not
Hey,
crazy.
it looks a little like the star of Renton with a sperm in it.
WTF, folks, right?
Yeah, that looks like a sperm. It looks like a snake. It also
Snake?
looks like a Jewish Star of David.
Yeah, well, I called it the Star of Renton. I didn't want to be on the nose because apparently you can criticize. You can say, "Look at this demonic."
How much of
you
this
know.
story is make believe, right? Like how much of it is made for Hollywood? I think we have
It's
to
got the colors of
realize-
Israel too.
Yeah, I think we have to realize that they have been manipulating us for the longest time, and that we often refer to these things because Charles Manson becomes a meme, right?
Yeah.
Before memes, sort of thing. He's like, oh, you know, like if you want to describe somebody as unhinged, sort of crazy Satanist, you'd say Charles Manson, sort of thing, right? You want to describe somebody as a crazy, unhinged cult Christian guru,
Oh,
you say
God.
Jim Jones, sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And then you know Branch Davidians or the Heaven's Gate Club, and they keep putting these ones out, you know, cyclically every 5-10 years. There's a massive sort of cult that's unfolded, becomes the biggest story of the year, sort of thing. And I think they've been manipulating us. You can't really know for sure. Like what I say about people, it's like a shooting, for instance, right? Like there are real shootings, but come on. I mean, what are you going to see on CNN?
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? You watch the stuff that they promote and they go crazy with. That's the stuff that's faker than, you know, Bruce Jenner's vagina, right? It's like,
Don't talk crap about Bruce Jenner. But yeah, Jeff, I actually was thinking about this before the show because, like, you and I don't see eye to eye on it, but I very much respect you, and I believe that you know a lot more about this stuff than I do. So I don't think like, oh, Jeff's wrong and dumb, but like I don't see the same fakery. I don't know that it exists with the same confidence that you do, but it's almost that's just a fractal repetition of this thing you're talking about. That like, okay, if you guys have ever listened to like Manson's autobiography or stories, that kind of thing, dude, the guy was like sexually abused and just had a horrible life. If he wasn't created from glow in the darks from the get-go, he was probably seized upon to push an agenda. And just like these like shootings and killings and crazy people, dude, the world is so huge, and people we live in a fallen world.
But
People are
there's a
stupid enough.
difference between what is
Oh,
propaganda.
there's still fake things. There's still fake things. Don't get
Like
me wrong.
no,
I'm not
like,
saying
like,
there's not.
like, trust me on this. I'm not telling you that everything's fake. I'm saying that when it's something that's so big, larger than life, and is everywhere, it's most definitely something that they've orchestrated. Most definitely.
Yeah.
That's my history, because if I only go past the past 10 years where I've been doing this work and scrutinizing every little detail of these events, because I don't do this type of work anymore. I used to do it. Like I used to go through every article and go through every video and every person, every actor that they would bring out. And I was blown away because I started realizing, well, they were staging these over and over and over again. And so that begs the question, how long have they been staging these things? That's what I asked, because I can't go back and you know, I could if I wanted to, but I mean, there's so much going on right now. But I would be highly suspect of these major events that are used to manipulate public consciousness, because
like
I think
9/11 and stuff.
Well,
Or-
all
I
of
should- I
them. I mean,
shouldn't- yeah.
9/11 happened. It's just, did it happen
Yeah.
the way that it's told? No.
Hell
right?
no. Yeah.
So, you know,
Hey,
it's,
on that note, Jeff, I got to get going for the night, but it's been a real great time on the show.
thanks so much, man.
yeah.
That-
Absolutely.
It was
Nice to
great
meet you,
having you,
man.
buddy, and we'll do it again real soon for sure. So
Yeah.
thanks so much for coming. That's Tom from Press Reset Earth, and if you people out there, definitely go and sub his channel. He's an amazing guy. He's been at this for a long time, and we're good friends. So hey, Tom, have a great night, man. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
You too, Jeff. Bye, everybody. Bye, Faceless and Anonymous and Jeff and everybody else. Have a good night, guys.
Awesome.
Good night, man.
Good night.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, I don't want to like,
No,
I
that was
find it
interesting. That was
weird
good.
though, because like the way that I believe that we act as human beings, in many ways, is like the average person. What do they talk about? When you're with these people, what is it that they like? What frames their sort of existence? What are the things that control the way that they see the world? How do they react to what's happening around them? How do they act on a daily basis? How are they as people? Like, how much of an influence does their entertainment, their media, and all this have
Yeah.
on their own sort of existence and personality and the way that they act every day? And it seems like more and more, it's almost people these days are much more almost like they're manufactured caricatures that like like the non, what do they call them, non
NPCs. Yeah.
NPCs, right? Like that
Well,
they're made up in a video game and they're not given any they're not fleshed out. There's not a lot of depth to
Yeah.
them, right? Like it's just whatever their programming is. Yeah. I'll just shoot out a South Park meme, or I'll shoot out a meme of Elsa or something like that, right? Like, and that, like I talked about that with what's her face, or I think I can't remember the last
I love
time.
how it's what's her face. Every time you say that, I want to be like, wait, what was your name?
Yeah, it's a good, actually it's a good name to have, because
Yeah.
it gets you thinking, who is that person? But yeah, we were talking about that. I was saying that people, or no, it was a different show. I'm trying to think because I get them mixed up. I do a lot of live shows, but I was talking
Humility
about,
is never pretty to see.
yeah, I was talking about the meme sort of culture that people live in memes. Like for
Yeah.
instance, you look at social media. This is how I do it myself, right? And I'm conscious of it, so that somewhat justifies to a certain extent me using it. But when I'm using it, I'm aware that I'm using it. But what I'm saying is, like, if you react to something and you're reacting to something with a movie clip from something that you have been sort of conditioned and programmed into through your existence, that you're actually doing a hive mind sort of system that you're
Do you remember being young enough that, like, every time you were in the presence of your parent or parents or guardians, you felt completely safe and didn't question their intention? A lot of people simply transfer that sort of thing onto the state when they grow up, and we've been encouraged to do that.
Yeah.
And like I have
Or
ongoing
the corporation.
conversations. Yeah,
Right.
I have ongoing conversations right now with like IRL normies that I care about, like my ex. I was with this chick for years, and then towards the end of our relationship, she got on like SSRIs, and now talking to her, it's like talking to an imitation of a person a lot of times, but she's still so important to me that I want to encourage her to not take this, series of questionable injections, but I want her just to overall stand up on her own and face what's there, which we all have to do. It's, sometimes I've been with buddies and we ask each other how it is we got to where we are, being so woke about the truth stuff. And everybody had a different path. Like, everybody started out differently. Some people, it was like Eyes Wide Shut. Some people, it was Pizzagate. Some people, it was this or that or this or that. And it almost didn't matter. Like, it showed that people are capable of heading to the same destination. But it's so sad to see people you care about, that we love and that matter to us, going with this stuff. I mean, I've argued with family. I no longer put anger into it, because all that did was alienate our relationships. But I mean, the last thing you want to see is a person you care about or like, or an innocent person like a kid just being led into the meat grinder, right?
Yeah.
So it's
the
almost
worst
like,
part of it is when your family and stuff is talking about the future and their plans and stuff like that, and what's coming. You can't say anything because you don't want to tear their heart out, but it's like, it's horrible. You're just sitting there, like, it's like, I don't know, just to compare it to Lord of the Rings, where Gimli, that dwarf guy, wants to go through the mines of Moria, and Gandalf knows what's down there and shit, and he just, like, you can't just tell him and stuff, and so they go to the freaking mines of Moria, and then you get the freaking orcs and shit.
It's
It just kind of makes me think of that.
You don't want to tell your family they're going to have to face a Balrog pretty soon.
Basically,
Yeah.
it's like,
And I don't want to be the dude who has to get.
You ever
dragged
seen
down
those
into the pit.
25-foot tall demons with fiery swords and wings?
No, those don't
Yeah.
exist. CNN told me they don't exist. Yeah. Well, there's a Balrog.
I'd rather face a Balrog. I think a Balrog is far more like as opposed to a
something
Bill
you can
Gates,
see.
right? Yeah, you can see the Balrog. The Balrog can't hide on you, right? He can't be like Bill Gates. Bill Gates like Balrogs wish they could be like me. You know, that's probably what he thinks when he's watching the Balrog fight Gandalf,
He
right?
married a
He's like,
Balrog.
yeah.
I was gonna say he sits in the corner and watches the Balrog and his wife, but
Cuckold to the Balrog.
yeah. But it has to wear a mask.
Oh man, I hope the chat knows who a Balrog is. I'll put that in here. You guys can see it. The Balrog, which is if you've seen Lord of the Rings or you read the books, you know it's a big fiery demon.
I watched that like a couple months ago. That's why that reference pops in my head.
And they did a great job in the movie. I have to say.
Yeah,
The
for sure.
Balrog looks fantastic, and pretty horrific sort of creature. And yeah, that's the Tolkien sort of universe where they used to have they had like I think there was like 15 or something different Balrogs. If you read the Silmarillion or whatever it's called, they have all these other stories involving Balrogs and stuff like that. But yeah. Anyways, we get back to the horror theme here for a second. I didn't get a chance to ask Faceless what your favorite horror film is. Yeah, I know you must have one because
Mean Girls.
Mean Girls.
Let me think for a second because, some people, if you ask them a favorite color, they just immediately have an answer. I gotta think for a second. I got really into, and I know it's not a horror movie, but I used to really like the blatant propaganda film, Children of Men, the bastardization of a much better book.
Yeah.
But to me, there was so much that was horrific in that, like scenes where, maybe you remember the long shots of like Clive Owen running through like the ghettos or like refugee centers. But the movie was nothing but like NWO propaganda, you know. But it's more of a psychological thing. I really liked The Thing.
Oh yeah.
The only horror movie that's ever made me like literally cry. I saw Village of the Damned one night on TV in like the 4th or 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went into my mom's room and woke her up and was like crying. And I was like, I had a bad dream.
That John Wyndham.
Jammies then too.
That's your funniest video ever.
Oh,
the poop jam. I swear to God that I watched that like probably like 20 times.
I shared that with my Green Beret brother. Like I showed him 00 Devon and he was like, dude, that was great. I watched it twice. So then I showed him the pooping my pants thing and he just messaged me and was like, dude, that was so, he was like, that was so pretentious. I can't watch it. He thought I was serious.
There's something there. That one, oh my God. If you guys haven't seen it, the Poop Jammers from Faceless. I don't know if that's the title of it. What's the title?
Yeah, let me see. It's The Horror That Broke My Mind or something like that. It says like The Horror That Broke My Mind in the thumbnail, but dude,
it's really detailed, man.
That is just fucking genius, dude. I swear to God. Like I like all your work, but when you do comedy and you mix it, like that is just, I don't know. That's just another realm. It was brilliant.
Thank you, dude. I got some good news. I know I really have had like a long hiatus the past couple months, like barely putting stuff out and most of October. But I lost my voice from whatever, near COVID or whatever it was. And then there's been all these purges, so I've been laying low. And I was also struggling to figure shit out because whatever, I was into the remote view and stuff. Then I was like, I'll remote view a demon or I'll remote view an alien. And I got exactly what I wanted. And once again, pooped my jammies. And I had to go. I went and talked to a priest. I'm not even like, I'm no fan of the Vatican or the Catholic Church, but it was a fascinating experience. I've been learning so much this month. I've been learning so much this last like year and a half, but at the same time, I've been going around on Discord and like trolling decent people, and have a lot of apologies to make. So it's like I've been my own worst enemy, not even the crotchless, hideous alien white demon monster things. It's like, no, no, no. They don't make you drink. They don't make you go onto Discord and talk about, or like harass normies. So, but anyway, I need to make my next video is going to be You Touch the Sun Jack Part 4, where I'm going to correct a lot of errors in my previous stuff. Like, I found myself worshiping the beast and worshiping creation, but not even intentionally.
Have you seen? I wanted to ask you this. Julian Assange.
No, what's going on with him? Some of the people I talk to are really into him.
The Village of the Damned. You got to see this.
Oh shit!
Yeah, the
because
the story about Julian Assange is that he came from this freaking freaky cult from Australia. They're like Branch Davidians.
Are those 3 pictures?
Yeah, they're all like blonde hairs. Yeah, they all look like freaking. They all.
God.
Yeah, you haven't seen that? I was making a video years ago and I never finished it. I was like, this is a music video that I was going to do for this. But they this is the narrative for Julian Assange, is that he grew up in this cult, this crazy freaking Australian cult, and horrible things happen. they're all like blonde haired. They look exactly like the Village of the Damned.
Yeah.
Again, how much of this is just a story, a fictional thing that they have done to program people, and or whether it's real or not, I don't know. But you can see how they make these characters. Like there's like, because I don't believe at all Julian Assange. I think he's an actor. I think the whole thing is just an act that he's playing out. I don't believe he's a legit person. And I think that they use a lot of these different characters, so they have to give them a narrative. But the narrative that they have for this guy is basically that he comes from a Village of the Damned type of cult existence, right? It's just really bizarre. So you might want to check that out.
Yeah,
that's right up your alley,
dude. It's kind of like, though, like, okay, I assume you're the same, Venonymous, but at the very least, I know Jeff is like this, that like you guys are not inclined to buy into the political paradigm. But at the same point, the people within that lesser framework, there's a lot of genuine believers. Like if you watched any of the Trump-Biden debates, it's obvious that those guys don't know the bigger picture. Like, and then the people on the streets who either riot or put on their stupid red crosshair on their head and go out and play Call of Duty IRL, they genuinely believe a lot of this stuff, or are just being led. But their emotions, their experiences, their minds are real, but the political paradigm is still artificial. I wonder with Assange and people like him, like you were talking about Manson earlier, like all that Laurel Canyon creepy shit. If it's not like, okay, if you had an Australian kid or whatever Assange was, and he was in this cult, but he was brilliant, blah, 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 and he had this WikiLeaks thing, and you set it up, because we've all seen the videos of Assange. Somebody would ask him about Israel or 9/11, and he just changes the subject. Obviously a very shill move, right? But then we see this happen all the time, like with Alex Jones. All his pro-Israel and pro-official narrative shilling that he does at a deeper level did not save him from the shitstorm that came his way when he talked about a certain school event. And it didn't stop him from getting kicked off of YouTube.
Yeah, that's all part of the act.
Yeah, it's orchestrated.
Yeah, oh yeah, it is definitely.
Not like he's hurting. Trust me.
Within the framework, there might be some genuineness on the part of the mark, like Trump. Dude, it's like I was joking earlier, like the Q thing. Like Trump's like, "You give me extra yogurt today, I say this number." And if Trump wins again, I mean, I don't think he's the brightest guy in the world. Does he seem like a super occult-aware guy to you? To me, he probably likes his KFC and ice cream.
Ronald Reagan was senile, so it doesn't really matter who the puppet is. Right?
Yeah,
it's just the puppet on the strings. So to me, I don't waste time with that, but it is entertaining. I do think Trump is quite an entertainer. I think
Yeah. Oh yeah.
if he gets back in, well, I mean, it doesn't really matter, but
No,
I could
no.
see him coming back in for another 4 years and everything going to hell, because it already is going to hell. So
Did you
Right.
see the scenarios that it's called the Transition Integrity Project that was hosted by people like John Podesta and stuff like that? They did
Oh,
4 scenarios
God.
of the election.
no,
No.
I didn't see it.
You gotta look at that. I mean, they basically
Series of June 2020 political scenario exercises involving over 100 current and former senior government. Oh, okay. It was Event 21, but for the Civil War.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
they
That's-
have John Podesta playing the part of Biden who refuses to his loss to Trump and stuff like that.
You haven't
It's-
seen the violence, and I don't want to see any violence. That's why I'm knocking on wood. I don't want to see anything, but you haven't seen that. Like it hasn't escalated to the point where people are shooting each other all over the place. But that could play out.
I think
after
that will
this
come
sort
a
of
few
thing.
years down the road after the election. I think we'll have some civil breakout and there will be clashes and stuff like that. But I think that martial law will come in, cool things down for a bit. They'll administer the vaccines, get everyone all vaxxed up. They'll use the food crisis in order to administer the vaccines because you want to get your food ration, you got to get your
Yeah.
vaccine. Everyone will be vaccinated. Then they'll introduce the bioweapon. That
Like,
will
they're
cause
taking our
the
time
enhanced
with
immune
us.
response. Yeah,
They're working on us.
because they have to get
the
they have to
dark
get the
winter.
percentage of they have to get the percentage of injections up. So they have to create the situation with the martial law, and then they'll have the food rations because of the food shortages, and then get everyone vaxxed up, introduce the virus.
then
Then
start
later
chasing
on, we'll have the Civil War pop up later on when a bunch of people die and people are starving, and it's just kind of like the way I'm seeing it coming.
And then
Yeah.
fake blue beam or fake
Fake whatever, who knows?
I think
like-
they'll build them all at the same time, so they'll
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
keep amping
yeah.
up what they've already. They're not going to let the embers go down.
Yeah.
The problem with
yeah.
the Civil War is they can't get the vaccines into the people with the
Yeah, but
if
it's
there's like
all it's all about like look, it's not like it has to be Civil War declared. No, it's gonna
Right,
be
right.
more like just a lot of clashes and
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
escalation.
And you know
So
why none
it'll
of us know
slowly
for
rise.
sure?
Yeah,
It'll
you
none
might
of us
not
will
you
rise.
might not even like get like it might take a while before they actually start calling it a civil war. Like it might just be like a complete deconstruction where groups are clashing, people are getting killed, there's race violence and
yeah.
killings and stuff like that, and then things start to escalate, and then eventually people start mobilizing, and then eventually you start having battles, you start
Yeah.
having actual fucking the forces going up against each other sort of thing. And this is where you're going to have a different sort of element, because you're going to have the Antifa BLM type forces, and then you're going to have the opposite on the right side, right, with the different patriotic and the white supremacist. I'm putting those in quotations. The groups that they would have, but they would go at each other. But there would also be the American military that would come in. So there'd be it wouldn't be just a classic civil war of one side versus another. It'd be a war with multiple sort of entities present and
Right.
constantly
Yeah, 'cause
involved with each other.
The Civil War is a potential Civil War is literally just this is all just a tool of a flexible entity right now. That's why none of us can tell the future exactly, because as we're like looking at computers and newspapers and television, talking to people, literally like Satan or whatever you want to call it, the bad is doing the exact same thing.
Of course.
It's still deciding how it's going to do this, because it can choose to do whatever it wants. The outcome is determined already, but the means by which it
Well,
gets
how can
there,
the outcome be determined if the means are yet to be determined?
Don't forget, there's
I
the
don't
whole
know the exact mechanics, but I know that it is inevitable that the thing that takes control of the world, the whole like NWO system, the authoritarian nightmare before us, it will not perpetually last, and it will not succeed in getting as many people to submit to it as it wants. That's what I'm talking about when I say foretold. But I don't know exactly how it is. I know that, but it's a weird thing. It's what religious people talk about. It's what my drunk ass came up with one night. And
But you
That's
guys are
the best I can
forgetting
do.
the whole narrative with the China war with China. That's something that
Yeah.
will be in the cards eventually when they want to draw military away from the country. They'll
Yeah.
use the China war.
If we were all
Um,
resisting the government right now, they could just snap. The U.S. government could just, and media could snap its fingers and be like, "Look, everyone, it's China's fault." And once again, the U.S. military and like white people in particular with patriotic sentiments are going to be like, "Well, I guess I just need to go bring democracy to Shanghai." It's like, no, you're going to go participate in a never-ending war for Genie Energy and the deep state and the military-industrial complex and Satan's butthole.
you know what you should look up right now, Jeff? You should grab the 2019 The Economist cover, the 33rd edition. Grab that one because there's a lot of stuff that's relevant today in that, especially with the whole conflict with China. They got the 4 horsemen of apocalypse. You got your barcode babies. There's even kind of the assassination of Trump is even in there. You can kind of see it in there. You got there's lots of this virtual reality. You even got just grab the cover. I'll show you if you can do that for me for a sec. Does Jeff leave?
I think he was so disgusted with us. He said he's had enough, and he's
like
literally just
Faceless is going to go on for a bit. I can just sneak out and piss. And...
I am bad about that.
Yeah.
But when I have to pee, I just use the mason jars next to me.
Nice.
Don't tell the audience though.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll keep that. It's between us, man. It's all good.
You guys got any other?
Yes, Jeff.
Go
I was
ahead.
saying I thought you were there, and I was
No,
like,
I had to take a leak.
It's like, can you pull up the 2019 The Economist 2019 cover with the 33rd edition?
Okay, Economist
There's lots of things relevant to today.
2019. Which one?
The 2019 The Economist.
Yeah,
cover.
Okay. This one here, redesigning life, or
It's got a map.
This one,
everything's backwards. Yeah, the one on the top left. I think I'm delayed, so I don't know if. Yeah, you got it.
You see it? Okay, cool.
If you could zoom in on those things, that'd be great. They've got the facial recognition. They got the panda bear facing Trump, which is China and Trump, the war. You got Beyond Brexit. You got the virtual man. You got the 4 horsemen of apocalypse. And if you look closely at the 4 horsemen of apocalypse, Lady Liberty is wearing a face mask. You got, there's a bunch of stuff. They got did I say virtual reality already? You got the barcode on the stork. The stork's carrying a sack and it's got the barcode. And I just looked up recently in a news article, they're talking about introducing a barcode system on the in vitro fertilization on the babies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You got if you look in the hand of the Da Vinci's David or whatever, in his hand he's holding what looks like a smartphone, and it's got the COVID pass thing on it. It's got the QR code, like a COVID pass.
Yeah.
You got the gene edited on his other arm, the DNA genome.
DNA.
And if you look at the top right, you see Trump, and you see the little satellite-looking thing behind him. It looks like a gun pointing at his head, like an assassination.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got all sorts of stuff in this. It's crazy. It's all relevant. You got the pentagon, whatever you call it, the thing that they said that could be one of the things that spread coronavirus in the bottom left there, that animal. That was one of the ones in the story in the early
Pangolian, right?
Yeah, Pangolian thing.
Yeah.
That was one of the things in.
It's like an anteater.
Yeah.
Which thing looks like the boomstick pointed at his head?
It's like
the
a
satellite. It does.
Wow.
Like, to me, it looks like a jungle Vietnamese soldier pointing at that's what I thought it was when I was looking at it. I was like, yeah, he's pointing a gun at Trump's head, and it's like, no, it's actually a satellite.
It's like a gun wearing a kippa.
So I have
got Me Too on his chest, by the way.
I've predicted many times that the assassination thing is probably going to play out at some point in time, because I think that if Trump, this is likely scenario, Trump gets back in, for purposefully to create the Civil War sort of thing. But again, it won't be called the Civil War for a long time, but in effect it will be. And yeah, they'll I mean, we all know the other stuff is all coming, everything that they're showing here.
You also got the
They got
scale
the
of
Pinocchio
justice.
thing too. That's interesting.
Yep, because they're
Why are
lying
they
like
showing
Bill Gates and them, all lying. You got the scales.
And it's
of
all
justice
inverted,
with
too.
With your BLM,
Yep.
your equity, your equality thing.
God.
The destruction of the police force.
He's got the
basically.
Me Too tattooed on his chest.
Yep, he's
It's
got the
like
virtual
this
reality.
Is the secret to utopia. Whoa.
And then
Where did you find this? Was this from The Economist?
Yeah,
2019 thing? Holy
this
crap.
Came out
The 2019 one,
Yeah.
the 33rd
This is some-
edition.
This
They're
is some good.
all, every
encoding,
one
yeah.
of these FP is full of all this crap. We've been showing them for years. I even talked about the one the other day. Was I don't know if it was 20.
It's 2017. I saw the video.
2017. Yeah. But yeah, they. I mean, this is a Rothschild publication here, so
If
they're going to
you-
show you a lot.
You look in the top right, you got the facial recognition, but above them, you got them going back to the moon, which they're planning
Yeah,
to do again.
yeah.
So,
That's
and
true.
you also got the electric
Yeah.
cars. And remember, there was announcements to eliminate the gasoline vehicles by whatever date. Oh, you also got the volcano at the top, and there's been worries about the Yellowstone.
Yeah.
There's been talks about that volcano erupting.
Do you have a YouTube channel of Anonymous? Because I
yes,
didn't know you
it's
knew
called
all this
I Am
stuff.
a Werewolf, and I have
Wow.
a video talking all about this.
Nice.
I don't worry about the Yellowstone thing because like how would they know? If they know, and if it does happen, then it's gonna be like
We'll see what they've been doing is they've been experimenting where they've been causing earthquakes next to it.
yeah. I mean, like
There's a recent article.
stuff
I don't know if
where
it'll actually go off. I'm just
NASA
saying it's
was
like-
talking about bombing it or something or blowing it
Yeah.
up to try to stop it from freaking going. If they know, like if they know, because there's amongst people in this realm, there's a theory that there's some sort of time loop going, that these people know that shit's going down, that they understand when shit's going to happen, and that movies like The Road and like we talked about before are foreshadowing what's to come, or potentially. But if they knew, say, that Yellowstone was going to erupt, this would, because like the Deagle forecast for American population, this is something that was a big conspiracy way back when.
Still today, too.
Yeah, it still is. But it's like, why, how does America go, lose 200 million people or something like that, right?
Yeah, like 1 in every 3 people. But the thing is, too, we can't operate on the assumption that
No, it's
The
silly.
big guy
to-
They can
doesn't
modify
want-
the weather. They can do a lot of
It's
things.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they
or-
could,
well, but
and
what
but-
if you want this to happen? What if that's the goal?
it could destroy the world, though. It like
Yeah.
it would bring about 10 years of just
Food shortages?
Yes, it actually.
no. Like there'd be 3 years of no food whatsoever. Nothing would grow because the earth would be blocked out completely by the emissions from the volcano.
Yeah.
Did you know that the World Wildlife Fund has been pushing an indoor farming revolution?
Yeah, and then the food or the seed bank that they put up in, so there's a lot of plots, and then Russia building all these caverns and stuff like that. A lot of people push this out, but I tell people, don't worry about that shit, because if that happens, fuck it, like who's gonna live, right?
Yeah,
Like
we can't stop.
I'm not gonna live in the road. Sorry, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
dude,
where I
absolutely.
get off.
That's the future
ride.
they want us to have. I mean,
Yeah.
or want us to think.
But
we're gonna
I
have.
think there is that fear, and they put that fear out. And I know there are certain channels that are always covering Yellowstone and all that. And I don't waste time with that, because that has been going on forever. Like,
And I don't. Yeah, I know, and I don't say these things because I know they're for sure or anything like that. I'm just saying these are the kind of things I see that they're projecting at us. Basically,
Yeah.
is what these are things.
It's
All the
possible.
things that I saw that are in 2020,
Yeah.
things that were in this cover are mentioned this year. Is basically my whole point was that it
Yeah.
wasn't for 2019. It's actually for 2020.
yeah,
That was my point.
I think you can, like, find so much in these things. And again, many of us doing this work have been covering the economists and their covers for years, and there's so much that they've shown. So it's very it's ominous, right? To see what
Oh,
they
yeah,
show you,
yeah.
right? But
Ominous
you can't,
AF.
yeah, you can't. And again, it's like the marijuana leaf, right? Like as one of those things. And again, this is supposed to appeal to the Extinction Rebellion type people, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna give you this, we're gonna give you that.
It's from the earth, so it's good for you always.
Yeah, man. We'll give you some baseball too, man.
They show in the bottom there, next to his armpit, is the Mona Angelina, which kind of we all know that Angelina Jolie is heavily involved with the migrant stuff, and they're projecting that this food crisis, that the the mass migration crisis will be nothing like the one in 2016. This one will be much worse.
Yeah, and they're saying
The food
that.
refugees.
There's already been a position created by it's like the IMF or the the WMF, or one of these foundations. The same people who were behind the resilience initiative in not only the US, but in many Western countries, they actually created this manual and they put it out there a couple years ago. How like it was like the area where Northeast Africa connects to Asia, like Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, with a little, and then Egypt, Sudan, Ethiopia, south of them. They were saying that they would have like a minister of, it was like the name for the position was literally like Minister of Overseeing Displaced, Pathetic, Sad People. And it was saying that they're just going ahead and pre-planning to arrange the whole like global train network of like, we just ship you from here to here and you work there and you have no identity, then we move you here. It was not going to work. They'll get it for a few years, but that isn't even the thing that the elite serve, this satanic force. I call it Satan, but you don't have to think of it that way. It could be anything. It could literally be a giant AI. That doesn't mean it's not Satan. These aren't mutually exclusive, but it's that's not its end goal. Its end goal is to the way it looks to us is that it wants us to give it our consent so that we let it in. What it's really doing is like we have these threads around us. We're lucky enough to be attached to the higher. If we decide to focus on truth and good stuff and God or whatever you call it, you can connect to a higher truth. This bad thing has to sever those connections in order to be able to take control of the ship, in order to be able to create its own little shitty universe. And it has to kill people who refuse to consent to the severing of those things.
Well, yeah, anyone who doesn't pledge their allegiance to the New World Order, basically, and that's what they're going to do with the detention camps. Is you take the chip or embrace the system or vanish. Basically, you'll never be seen again.
Yeah,
I mean that was actually mentioned in the New World of Barbarians tapes back in these from a talk from the 60s. This was it was talking all about the New World Order, and it was talking about how they would one day in winter they would take people and do that, basically embrace the system.
Was this the David? Was this the David?
This is the New World of Barbarians is these tapes that were recorded in
Joe
90s.
Biden warned of a dark winter.
Yeah.
And
you weren't.
Yeah. There was a guy called Dr. Lawrence Duggan, who was a pediatrician that sat in on a speech in 1969 with Dr. Richard Day. He was an insider. He became a director of Planned Parenthood at one point. Yay. This all checks out because I've looked up the news articles and stuff, like newspapers, and you can see the obituary of Richard Day. This guy, he knew a bunch of stuff, and he pretty much told all the things that have been happening now, how they would turn sports, female into sports. They would remove their proclivity to dolls and stuff, stop having baby dolls and all that, the mothering stuff. They talked about turning sexual reproduction from to like removing the idea of sex as reproduction is basically what it was. Just it's like everything that you could imagine is in these 3 tapes. I have there's actually 4 tapes because there's like a different radio interview with this guy, and they're on my channel. If you guys scroll down and through my videos, you'll find all 4 tapes on there. I encourage you to listen to them. There's also, you can just look up the transcript online too if you want to just read through it. I cite it all the time because it's relevant to everything that's been happening and what's happening now. So it's really interesting tapes.
Does any of this tie into the? It was like, I don't know if it was Ben Gurion or another Israeli, but one of their like first leaders post World War II. It was something about how like it was like the 60s, I think, and he outlined all these relevant kind of, they're not prophecies, but plans for the future.
No, this one's different. This is like just like in Pittsburgh in like 69. It was like just like maybe like 80 people, whatever, in this pediatrician like conference thing, and this guy, Dr. Richard Day, was like higher up in like he was like a teacher and stuff like that, and they all had a dinner, and he laid out this speech and just kind of warned them all. It's just, I don't know, it's really weird. Yeah. But I don't know, I can't find any other like ties to it. It's like just this one weird little thing out of nowhere.
Is your channel, it's I am, and then a werewolf is one word because it's a werewolf?
Yeah.
He's aware.
I love it because every time someone says it.
Are you aware of how sexy Teresa Tam is?
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Are you aware? Are you guys aware of this? You guys are aware of that, right?
I would spend like
I hope you aware.
Kind of like
keep
I would
away.
I would oil up her skin suit and like feed her butter so she becomes more like human. And then at night, I just when the full moon comes up, the romance.
Yeah, it's just nuts, eh? It's insane. You know, the crazy thing too is the video of this creature talking 10 years earlier in an NFB picture about the whole lockdown that's happening right now. It's like,
you know, the really weird thing about that is that came out at the exact same time, like literally year and month as the Rockefeller, the lockstep, same time. Month
like
and
2010,
year.
Right?
2010 November.
Yeah.
Both same time. And you guys should read the Clever Together scenario because that's what's happening now too. And it even predicts the sustainable development, the 2015. It predicts it. It doesn't say by name, but it's the exact same thing.
It's nuts, man. It's like everything that they're doing has been laid out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like Jeff, if you wrote a screenplay, like if you wrote a movie, if you could, and Hollywood would produce it a movie, make it like an actual movie, and maybe stick Michael Bay on it, would it not? No, seriously though, would it not be a thing that after the fact somebody could come and say this Jeff C guy was he was in on it, but really you were just tapping into the obvious, like you were, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's always the case, but I mean, because these people obviously do plan this shit. Like the fact that the lockstep document or the Rockefeller document existed since 2010 tells us that they were laying out the roadmap for this a while ago.
Of course.
Well, have you guys seen the document?
We were warning about this for like. Sorry, go ahead, Fernando.
I was gonna say, have you guys seen the what's it called? Food Chain Reaction. It came out in 2015. It was a like Event 201. It was a meeting. I believe Soros funded it, not directly, but he one of his things funded it. It predicts what's happening now, and there's actually a couple of little videos on there you can find. Just like look up Food Chain Reaction on YouTube, and I know you can't show us that right now, but it predicts that the food shortages for this year specifically from.
Oh, nice.
It talks about scenario like from 2020 to 2030 is the timeline, and they have a bunch of groups that from different countries or whatever, and they work together to fix the problem or whatever of the food shortage and stuff. And it even like talks about food prices raising up 400% in the year 2020 and stuff like that. It's nuts.
So invest now. Invest now.
Yeah, but they predicted it.
Jeff, I don't want to get too personal, but do you believe that there's something above people controlling this, or are you just open to the possibility that, you know?
I don't really know. It's not like I don't care, but I mean, I can't speculate about things I don't know, right? Like, so
Yeah.
whether or not,
yeah.
like I think AI is playing a huge role right now. I know you cover that a lot in your videos, and
Yeah.
you kind of suggest that that is being a big force. Obviously, I think that is real. Is real.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that I think there's a lot of. I think they're employing everything they can to carry out this master plan, and since they have most of the money, it makes it very difficult for the rest of us to try to adapt to what they're doing, because it's like you don't really have control of what they're doing. It's not like the old days. They have built up this narrative and built up this paranoia and fear in people perfectly,
Yeah.
to the point that they've unleashed this master plan, and now they're using it to deconstruct our way of life, basically, and forcing us all to adopt their what they have for us, sort of thing. So it's a really nasty situation, I think, for all of humanity to be in, especially here in the West, where we're accustomed to this type of freedom and this idea that the small everyman can win, whether through the courts or whatever, right? That the government is supposed to serve us, sort of thing. And here we have this twisting, and now it's totalitarianism. Now you have no say, and now we're going to take away your rights, and we're going to do it more and more each day, and you're just going
Yeah.
to take it. Because I've never seen anything like this. Like, I honestly, I'm blown away.
Same, man. Same. Obviously.
I just
Yeah.
want to mention real quick in food chain reaction, some of the big players in there are Cargill, WWF. There's another one that's run by John Podesta. I can't remember the name of it. CNA or whatever. And also there's this creature named Molly Jan in she speaks in the conference, and one of the things she says is the new normal is volatility. Back in 2015, the new normal is volatility.
Yeah. Well, heck,
that's-
you've seen the the WEF thing where it shows the outline. It's like rings within rings. They're talking about the what?
Oh, I put new normal in. Check this out. Check this out. New normal. All right, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
And look what I get.
God. I love how none of them have like a person with them, like a companion or a person of the opposite sex.
They
That's
look
just
so happy.
insane. That's just insane, folks. That is insane. That is evil.
It's getting worse every day.
Dude.
I mean, you'd think I'd be inspiring people by not wearing a mask everywhere I go, but there's more and more wearing masks like by themselves. It's pissing me off.
Are you just saying that, or do you really not wear the mask?
I really not wear the mask because I read the bylaw, and it says I can identify as exempt if I want to.
That's impressive because I act like a pussy. I wear it sometimes.
Well, because I'm protected by the Alberta human rights protections, so I can, anytime someone tries to say anything, I can just recite that, but I don't have to because I look scary.
It's just insane. Yeah. It's just that video that I show, which is like, this is not a mask. You guys that's just the most insane video ever. It's like, it blows me away. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, and again, unfortunately, people are dumb.
The New World Order is not going to have good Halloween movies, by the way. They're all going to be shit, because if they want like this dumb like chud creature that's half computer running its factories. That movie, man. Which one? Chud?
Chud,
yeah, seriously, dude. You can't.
Daniel Stern's in it.
You can't
the guy
use
from
the
Home
Chud
Alone.
without watching the Chud, man.
Hey, wait, the guy, what's his name? Joe Pesci's sidekick is in Chud.
Yeah.
I definitely need to see this movie.
For sure.
Daniel Stern is like discount Donald Sutherland.
I gotta see it for this creature.
Also,
odds are like.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna be like, just watch now that like tomorrow we discover that Chuds are here and they get like special rights and they're an oppressed group.
Dude,
Oh,
guys, I
definitely.
I have to recommend something now because I'm gonna say because like
CLM.
can you guys think of a cheesy sort of Agenda 21 horror film that is
Ooh.
watchable?
Oh,
Ooh.
oh god, I love campy horror movies. Well, Evil Dead, obviously, that's like the Evil Dead 2 is campy and very watchable.
Absolutely, yeah. You know what I was thinking of? I don't know if you guys seen this one. It's called The Prophecy.
Oh yeah,
Oh, with Christopher Walken?
No, the
Yep,
Prophecy.
that's a good one.
With
Christopher Walken, Elias Koteas, the Angel movie, right?
No. It's the 1979 one. It's with the Inside Out bear.
Oh, okay, I haven't seen that.
What?
I remember you
What?
talking about that
Oh.
one. I haven't actually watched that
This
one.
one is great. It's so silly, but it's I don't know. It's got the Agenda 21 theme pretty because it's got like an EPA guy who's like the hero in the film or something, right? But
It's
it's
the
like
opposite of Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters 2 with the EPA guy. It's like the opposite of it.
That bear's got pizza face really bad.
the bear. So what's happening is the paper mill is dumping chemicals into the water supply, basically, right? It's going to the lakes and rivers and stuff, and the animals are all getting mutated. And so there's this giant freaking mutated bear. It's going around. It's killing everything, basically,
Oh,
right?
that's awesome. That is
Yeah.
so awesome.
Does it just walk on two legs all the time? Or?
No, they got her on a freaking. It's like crappy. It's cheesy freaking crappy sort of mechanical effects.
I don't know. Those stills look pretty bad.
Yeah. It's what it looks like. It's
Well, they couldn't sign Rob Bottin. Rob Bottin was busy doing the thing.
yeah, that's right. But it's if you squint a little bit, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's better than CG.
Watch it with your
It's
eyes
better
closed.
than
It's awesome.
Yeah. It's I
better
like
than
the bear
surgery.
I think
dubs
this is
today.
a concept, though. I think it's like a cool idea for a film, and I think they could probably do a much better job.
With an inside-out bear, that sounds badass. They just need to step up their
Inside
stuff,
Out bear.
their effects.
Vaguely horrifying Inside Out bear. God.
What's another cheesy horror film that you guys would recommend?
That
Let me look through my
it
list.
has nothing to do with Agenda 21, but ZAAT. It is so cool. A mad scientist turns himself into a fish person, and then he just swims in a pond and drowns pretty women and brings them back to his lab because I guess he wants to like have them disperse their eggs in the water so he can seminate them or whatever it is that fish do. It's a bad movie.
Dude, I can't believe this. How old are you, man?
Oh no! Ageism.
That. Yeah, I'd never heard of that. So
A really fun movie, like a fun zombie movie, is called Dead Alive.
Oh
It's
yeah,
also known as Brain Dead.
That's freaking what's his name?
Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
that
my
one's
favorite
insane.
part is the Zabi, the zombie baby.
Yeah, the zombie baby. That's
Oh
amazing.
no!
Yeah, the film is. Oh, this film is great because it's super gory, but it's like comic book gory. It's so silly, but it's so hardcore at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like
Is this
over
the
the
movie?
top.
Is this the movie where they have a scene where like a guy's on like a morgue table and they're like cutting into his head? He's seeing it. You're seeing it from his eyes, or is that a different movie?
I can't remember.
Oh,
I know the two zombies bang on the table.
This is a scene.
Oh, nice.
There's a scene
All
in
right,
this.
well, I need to watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's hilarious. You gotta watch it.
it's Peter Jackson before he became Lord of the Rings sort of thing. He was actually quite brilliant, and he had a couple of these really cool, classic sort of cult classic zombie films, and yeah, Dead Alive was one of them. It's hilarious. It's freaking hilarious. It's so over the top. It's so ridiculous.
It looks awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, you would love it for sure. You got to see that.
Peter Jackson looks so thin too. Like he wasn't even 400 pounds back then.
Yeah, it's true.
He didn't eat hobbits for breakfast.
There's
Yet.
some of the scenes are just so funny. Like it's so like they just go so far that you love the imagination. So if you like that, like, because like it's a type of horror film that doesn't take itself seriously at all and just revels in excess sort of thing. And yeah,
Another one like that's Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. You gotta watch that at
Yeah.
least once.
Oh yeah.
Attack of
Oh
the Killer
okay.
Tomatoes.
If you guys want something real obscure, can I don't
Yeah.
think there's any copyright stuff with this. If you pull up an indie actor's public reel, you know how they make videos of compilations of stuff they've been in just to show themselves off. There's no copyright with that, right?
I have no idea. You
Well, I think if anything,
a copyright lawyer.
if anybody showed up, they would probably be like, "Oh, hey, dude, I saw you playing my reel. Do you want to hire me?" But let me show you something. I'm gonna look this up. It might take me a sec, so I'll shut up.
Okay,
but
don't worry about it. Yeah, take your time. But yeah, I like the B movie type movies as well. What was the one with the spiders? You ever see that one there?
Which year? The newest one?
I think
the
it
90s?
had the spider movie.
the documentary about the Arquettes.
William Shatner. There you go. Yeah, Kingdom of the Spiders.
Oh yeah, I got that on my list.
Yeah, cool, man. I
Was
remember
this the
seeing
one
it
with
as a
the really
kid.
advanced claymation? No. This
was a great movie. I watched it a lot as a kid.
Oh man, yeah, these are fun. Like it's...
I didn't realize William Shatner's even in it. I watched it when I was little. So
Yeah. They actually had to put him in a William Shatner mask because of the popularity of Halloween. So it was hard to tell it was him.
How about an obscure good horror film that people don't know, perhaps?
Martyrs, maybe. That's a little obvious though. Martyrs 2008.
I haven't seen that.
what level of quality?
Well, good quality, but like
Okay.
it could be like B movie, but good sort of thing.
Well,
My Little Pony.
I liked Tales from the Dark Side.
Tales from the Dark. We know. Did you guys ever see Creep Show? Because we mentioned that before.
Yeah, Creepshow.
Yeah,
Oh, House.
yeah.
How about House?
House, is that the with Tom Hanks?
No, it's I can't remember. This some actor. He's not big or anything like that. But he goes into this house and you can like enter another world in the closet and stuff. And there's like this old buddy from the military that he left to die and stuff like that. Is like
I'm gonna look at the
There's, like-
chat here. People are saying Garbage Pail Kids. They
Oh, yeah.
live. They live.
Pail
Oh yeah,
Kids.
They Live is great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Aliens from Outer Space. Critters. I
Critters,
love
of
y'all.
course.
I don't know that one. The Kindred.
Cannibal Holocaust. Someone
Yeah,
says.
Cannibal Ferox. Cannibal Holocaust. Is that the one that the Blair Witch was kind of ripped off of?
I don't know, but the good guy that made the movie was put on trial because he thought it
Yeah.
was real.
It's Italian, right?
It was
They-
really gory, and
yeah,
like, they
yeah.
kill
That's a
animals,
good
like,
one, actually.
There's a horrible scene with a
The
tortoise.
turtle. That's the
Yeah.
one that freaking freaks me out with the.
Yeah.
It shouldn't really, but it's just the way that they go about it, like because the psychos that they got to be the actors, sort of thing.
Yeah, this is brutal.
Oh,
But yeah,
if
they
if you like animals, you don't want
yeah,
like,
they.
those parts
Well,
are
I mean, like people do that every day with freaking animals, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I
and
know a
then-
story like that.
It's
Yeah,
like
an
I
IRL story.
watch lion videos like
Yeah.
crazy, right?
What?
I just love lions. But they are, I mean, is it cruel or they're eating a freaking gazelle or something and it's still alive kicking around?
Yeah.
They're just,
It's
they're
different when you're
like-
just doing it for the sake of filming and you don't even like eat it.
Like
yeah,
a
that's true.
A casual snuff film.
Oh, I got another good movie, The Brain,
The Brain.
1988.
Ooh.
That's
I
a
don't
good
think
one.
I've seen that one.
That's an awesome one actually. Like they it's like all about like brainwashing and stuff, like through the TV
Oh,
waves.
Dude, I remember seeing that in the VHS store when I saw Chud.
Oh,
But
sweet.
I never watched it, but I remember that image because it was so creepy.
Yeah, I think I might have seen this one. Oh wow, yeah. That's
All your
great.
memories are from the video store. And
That's great. No, those video stores are awesome.
you should watch those movies, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty cool.
Especially The
That's-
Brain. I love that movie.
The Brain.
Jeff, I posted a link to this. Okay, this is like an indie actor's acting reel, but at like 40 seconds into the video, it was some movie he did where he played like a sexually deranged carny or something. But if you want to see, I don't even know the name of the movie though, so I can't be like,
Okay,
watch
there's
this
nothing.
movie. No, nothing too bad, no. But I've drank with this guy before. But
What do I go to?
like 40 seconds in.
43 seconds?
Well, you can do 43. I was going to say do 40.
What? 40 seconds. Okay, 40 seconds. All right.
Yeah, 40. Is there audio? Because I have the stream muted. So the audience is hearing the dialogue, right?
No, they can't hear the dialogue. Yeah.
He talks about how he really likes DMX, but he's telling this to a group of carnival goers that he's about to try to molest. And then he tells one of the customers that he's going to chase down. He's like, "You can try to run, but I know that I can run faster hornier than you can run scared." And seemed like a good horror movie to watch while it constantly yelling about how bad the movie was.
Okay. We can't hear it because I
wasted.
No.
StreamYard doesn't have the audio, right?
Yeah,
you can always put
that's the whole
subtitles
thing.
on.
StreamYard.
Someone in the chat mentions Lawnmower Man. That's a good one with the virtual reality.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, it's 2:00, so I'm gonna close up here. We've been going since 10 here. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. I had an awesome freaking time.
I'm just happy to finally
be
be on a Halloween one. I missed the last one.
Yeah, well, I thought of you, Anonymous. I was like, dude, I know you watch all these horror films and stuff, and so
Good for the old ones because I remember all the old ones as a kid, and I always make those lists, so I keep track of it.
It was awesome.
I subbed to your channel, Anonymous. I definitely think your insights have been awesome, dude. Sounds like you really know your stuff, like you know more than I do.
Well, perfect. Thanks.
Yeah. Awesome.
And you should give me a link to your Discord because I want to see who this imposter is. You think I think you're talking to me.
Yeah, 10-4. I don't even have my own Discord. I mooch in other people's Discords with names.
Okay,
I'm just claiming
mine then, the one I hang out at.
Yeah,
good
definitely.
crew there too.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being on the show tonight. I really enjoyed it. And I want to thank everybody in the chat tonight. Great people watching the show. We had a lot of people watching tonight. So shout out to everybody that was in the chat and everybody that was watching silently at home. I hope you had a good time. Give us a thumbs up. Check out Faceless Propagandist Anonymous. And, of course, Tom from Press Reset Earth. They're great guys putting out awesome content. And I'll be back, of course, Monday Madness. Maybe I'll put some videos up over the weekend sort of thing, but I'll definitely be back on Monday at the very latest. So much love to you all. Thank you all so much for coming with us tonight, and have a wonderful weekend. Hope you have a happy Halloween.
Oh, by the way, I'm taking my kids trick-or-treating, so...
Good for you, Anonymous. Awesome. All right, guys. All the best. Catch you guys all in the next one. Thank you so much. All right.